Active and healthy as we age starts with strong bones. To keep your bones strong, you need calcium, vitamin D, and regular exercise. A bone density test called DEXA helps detect low bone mass and bone disease called osteoporosis. If you're 65 or older, Medicare provides free bone density tests every 2 years. Ask your doctor to schedule yours. For more information on how to be bone strong, visit pathtogoodbonehealth.org.
Hey, Joe, I thought you were retired.
Living on a fixed income is tough. So here I am, an essential worker.
I know. I mean, food prices are going up every day. Thank goodness for benefitscheckup.org.
Benefits what?
benefitscheckup.org. It's a free website where people over 60 can find help to pay for food, medicine, even utilities. I got $1,200 a year in benefits. Maybe it can help you.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
It's time for Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you on a Thursday afternoon. We're live from Sissy's Log Cabin, their new standalone location on 4542 Poplar Avenue in the Laurelwood Shopping Center. We've already been out here once, our second time back for their grand opening today. A lot of festivities happening over here today. They had some events beginning at 9:45, a ribbon cutting at 10 a.m., and they're off and rolling the grand opening of the new store. So we'll be here all afternoon for the next 3 hours. Like I said, 4542 Poplar Avenue, right here in the Laurelwood Shopping Center. You can't miss it. If you're driving down Poplar, you'll see the beautiful building. Stop by, say hello. We're going to give away some prizes. We got some shirts. If you want a Sports 56 shirt, we've got it all here at Sissy's Log Cabin. But like I said, we're with you for the next 3 hours, and a lot of news. Very newsy last, 48 hours or so. But I'm with Brett Norsworthy, as always. Brett, how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing great, Brian. It's great to be back here. We were here for the opening. Mm-hmm. Now we're here for the grand opening, and it is quite a grand day, and we want people to come by. We got some basketball tickets that we'll give away as well, and we will talk a lot with Bill Jones and Sherry Jones and their whole team here at Sissy's Log Cabin. We appreciate them so much. The official grand opening today, and they did have the ribbon cutting this morning, so it's official. Yeah,
that's right. Whenever you get a ribbon,
it's like signing day.
That's right. It's you get the oversized scissors out and snap that ribbon.
The old golf tournament check.
That's right. And then you know it's for real. Brett, obviously a lot of the talk yesterday while we were on air was about Nick Saban, and we kind of got the double doozy this morning, kind of like we kind of expect. Bill Belichick now out today, made it official. One went yesterday, the other went today. Really a monumental. You could throw what happened up in Seattle yesterday in there as well. It's been an incredible last 2 days.
I mean, these legendary coaches, and we'll talk a lot about that over this last 24 hours. I think one big difference is one's really, really, really gone.
Yeah.
And the other two, I think, are free agents and in play. Certainly Bill Belichick. And, Brian, I know we talked about how emotional would Bill Belichick be? How emotional would Robert Kraft be? What kind of setting would it be in New England? And I thought it would be a lot more cold-blooded, linear than that.
Yeah.
It was very emotional.
Yeah, no, it really was.
And you could feel it. And we don't often see that out of Bill Belichick. But, you've seen him in interviews through the years kind of away from the office. Mm-hmm. And I thought this year when he was on College game day at the Army-Navy game, when he was very relaxed, even put on the helmet, Coach Corso style, at the end of game day, picking his beloved Naval Academy, where he grew up, where his formative years, where they were. I think both he and Nick Saban, away from the shop, are probably a lot better, more garrulous, backslappy, fun, BS-type guys than their persona when they're in the arena. Mm-hmm. When they're in the arena, they have no time for any of that.
Yeah.
They have no time for fun and games. It's all business to them. Now, Pete Carroll, I think he's probably fun in both places. And I saw this last night, and I remember it. In 1980, Nick Saban was at West Virginia as an assistant coach. Pete Carroll left Ohio State as defensive backs coach, and they replaced him with Nick Saban. Pete Carroll left Ohio State to go be defensive coordinator at North Carolina State for a new head coach named Monty Kiffin.
Wow.
Who had just left Lou Holtz's staff at Arkansas, where he knew Pete Carroll as a coordinator. And it all ties in now, 43 years later, in give or take a few weeks, to all those names, primary and central, to this. And I think Lane Kiffin's name is involved at Alabama, especially with, I think, the shocking of turning down or not interested in Dan Lanning.
Yeah.
As we said yesterday, Brian, these are never offers except when you say yes.
That's right.
But everybody knows Alabama wanted Dan Lanning, and he gave enough signs. I don't know if it was formal offer, and I don't accept. I doubt it was anything like that. Doubt it ever got to contract or memorandum of understanding or proffer form. But they got enough smoke signals from Dan Lanning and his camp that he wasn't interested, and so now Alabama, they're moving on.
Yeah.
Remember, Nick Saban wasn't their first choice either way back when.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. But, I mean, you're right. I mean, I think once the news, it wasn't very long, just minutes after the announcement of Nick Saban, it seemed like everyone kind of threw up a tweet of, oh my gosh, Nick Saban's retiring, and then immediately turned around and put up, all right, Dan Lanning, you're up. I think everybody in the college football world pegged him as the next coach and expected him to take it. We talked a lot yesterday, and we talked to David Cohn about maybe him being the next guy, and we even said it later of Alabama's not going to get too far down the list. They're not going to get to option C, option D. We didn't think they'd get to option B, but now here we are after Dan Lanning announced this morning he's going to stay up in Eugene at Oregon. That was really, out of everything that's happened over the last 48 hours, Dan Lanning deciding to stay at Oregon might be the biggest surprise of all of it.
I'm stunned. I'm with you. I would have thought yesterday, maybe we wouldn't know today because we're still waiting to see kind of the big going away party for Nick Saban. Have they announced any time for that?
No, I haven't heard anything. I know he was at the building this morning.
But they will.
Oh, absolutely.
And very similar to an auditorium style. It won't be where he has the normal presser and has the Coca-Cola bottle and the water bottle on the dais. I don't know if it'll be full, have it at Coleman Coliseum, but there's a big team meeting room there at the Malmore facility and Bill Battle facility that I think they will have it. And they could even have it at historic Foster Auditorium as well. But they're going to have that, and then, that's when they're going to roll out. Might even leak the name out before that of the new coach. But I would have thought we would be in the home stretch of Dan Lanning on his way, and boy, some Eugene TV station.
Oh man,
really missed bad.
Well,
it makes John Sokoloff look like Bernstein.
Yeah. Well, it's my favorite thing whenever we have a coaching change, but more specifically when it's a guy like Nick Saban, where we are tracking flights, we're literally tracking everything. You've got a Eugene news station that's coming on the local news at 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, whenever they have the local news.
And late breaking.
Saying, I've got sources down in Tuscaloosa that tell me Dan Lanning is 100% down there, and it's probably only a matter of time. And then we get the announcement this morning, and Dan Lanning saying, I was never in Tuscaloosa. There was never anything. I was at home, and so certainly a huge win for Oregon after what they've started to build.
Headed to the Big Ten.
Yeah, and with what they've got coming in, the hope. I mean, Brett, let's be honest, obviously I think things got a little crazy over the weekend, but they played their conference championship game on Friday. Things got a little crazy that Saturday, but we're talking that Friday before that game of when and you're in the college football playoffs. I mean, Oregon was that close under Dan Lanning to being in the college football playoffs, and so I think for Oregon, what they've built, a massive win to keep Dan Lanning. When
we finally get around next week now to our way too early college football bracket, I'm going to have Oregon in.
Yeah, let's see.
And I'm not dissuaded by anything that's happened not to have them in when we finally get around to doing that.
Yeah.
And, they got Dylan Gabriel coming in at quarterback and Dan Lanning, a defensive guy. And they've shown through a lot of head coaches that they can score points.
Absolutely.
And now the challenge for them, the logistics and the travel challenge for them, and I think a little more physical line of scrimmage football in the Big Ten.
Yep.
But Dan Lanning, he knows plenty about that. So down that list, so Dan Lanning is a pass, whether it's, I don't think he said no, lose my number and never call me again.
Right.
But it was a no.
Yeah.
So we wait, potentially for Coach DeBoer at Washington, I think. And I Mike Norvell and Lane Kiffin. I don't know exactly that order. I can't imagine all three of them.
What about Steve Sarkisian?
I'd be really, really surprised, but might be just the thing that surprises me in this, because I'm not so sure at Texas right now that he doesn't have a better situation with what he's already kind of been able to grind through in his first few years there than he would the whole Bama, not reboot, but, the new place. It wouldn't be too unfamiliar for him there. But I'm not so sure for the next 2 or 3 years he's not at a better place than taking on that job in that shadow.
Well, and that's a really good point, because I think we kind of forget. Yeah, Alabama is a dream job. It's one of the biggest brands in really all of sports now, with what Nick Saban has done there. But you're still going in the shadow of Nick Saban, and they're going to expect excellence, and you're going to be living in what Nick Saban did. And for a lot of these coaches, especially I think Dan Lanning, like I just said, what he was building at Oregon and with Sarkisian in Texas, getting to the college football playoffs, it's hard to go into a different situation. I mean, what's going to happen with this roster? We know a lot of people think very highly of this roster and what it will return, but I mean, now these guys have 30 days to get in the transfer portal if they want. They've already lost a couple of commitments with this news. I'm sure they'll lose some guys from this roster. I mean, it could be a difficult job for whoever steps in there.
And for whoever gets the job, it's going to be fine opening day when they're 1-0 over Western Kentucky.
Yeah.
It's going to be fine in week 2 over South Florida. Go to Madison, Wisconsin, week 3 and play the Badgers. I think Alabama will win that open date. And then Georgia at Bryant Denny. And lose that game. Honeymoon's over.
Yeah, and
honeymoon is over, because in unison they'll go, Coach Saban beat them last year.
That's right. And I mean, we talk about, and I think Alabama will be fine against Wisconsin, but I mean, that's on the road at a Big Ten opponent.
Sure,
I mean, that's not a cakewalk, and so it's certainly difficult. But I'm with you. I don't think whatever the next name that comes out,
it's going to be great there until he loses his first game.
Yes. But I think the next name that comes out, that it's as surefire as what Dan Lanning was yesterday, when they're saying this is the next guy, this is the next guy, this is the next guy. I'd be shocked if we get past that name.
I would too. I just can't imagine getting too much down the list. We also want to talk to the Tigers. They did win last night.
Sure
that is the object of the game. But now we've got a lot of these games adding up, Bryant. Certainly no alarm bells yet for me yet. And last night, to shoot the number of free throws the Tigers did, that was the only way they won.
Yeah, no, they got to the line a lot. UTSA's defense really struggled against just how athletic, how quick Memphis's guards were. But, I'll be honest, I want to apologize, Brett. I want to apologize to you. I want to apologize to Tiger Bankroll, the name of Tiger Bankroll.
The all guts
because
of Tiger Bankroll.
I was
You owe me no apology, Brian.
I was not, with everything that was going on yesterday, with everything that was happening, UTSA has been fairly competitive in a lot of games they've played this year.
Yeah.
And
Eastern Illinois.
Well,
UALR,
that's a road game at UALR.
Yeah.
They had a couple of other road games in there that are tough.
Truly, we have more people right now inside Sissies than they had at ULR that day.
That is very true.
That's
but
true.
Brett, when you're a team like, and I'm not trying to say anything, I think the Tigers have got to play better. But when you were a team like UTSA that takes a ton of threes and makes a fair amount of them. And yes,
keep it close.
Right. When they average 10 made threes a game. And so when you come in, they made 17 yesterday. I mean, they're just going to have, when that's your game plan, when you have shooters like they do, and that becomes your game plan of we're going to take a lot of threes, and they drew up a lot of really good things, I thought, to get open shooters. Some games that those shots are going to fall, and you're going to have a very close game like the Tigers had. Now, I'm not excusing the performance from the Tigers, because I did say yesterday this is a game that I thought they should comfortably win, and they just didn't.
But I don't think it's anything to rip on.
No, not at all.
It was too close for comfort. I mean, down with minute 1 to play.
Yeah.
How late was it? I mean,
I think it was. I mean, it might have been even later than that.
It might have been. I mean, you're really thinking, and what it would have done to the net.
Let's see. They tied it with 1 minute and 1 second left, and then UTSA went up with about 30 seconds left, and then we had the 2 free throws to tie it with about 20 seconds. Nobody scored in that final
overtime,
20 seconds.
I felt really fine about that. But overtime against UTSA, again, not ideal.
No.
But the object of the sport is winning.
That's right.
And I have heard a lot of people talk about other conferences. Yeah, but those other conferences, image and net is not as attacked as the AAC, and properly. I don't know that I've got a good handle on the AAC. I think it's bad.
Yeah.
But what if it's not?
Yeah, I mean that's a very good question. I think these are teams that are going to be very competitive every time you see them, and I think one thing, Brett.
How many bids right now?
Oh, I think it's 2.
Okay.
I think it's just 2. I don't see another team making that push unless they were to win the conference tournament.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, you're going to have teams that are very competitive. I think Wichita State's going to be very competitive over the weekend. But this is one thing to look at, Brett, because I think you can say a lot about. That was a bad game from the Tigers last night. Defensively, I didn't think it was a great game. And one thing, Brett, I've noticed over these, really all season, but it's really stood out to me lately because I think early in the season I was able to kind of bat it away as to new pieces. You got however many new players on this team. They're just not comfortable with each other. But the amount of times I see a Memphis player throwing his hands up at another player when there's a defensive breakdown and someone gets a wide open layup, or last night a wide open corner 3, it's a lot, and it's really starting to build.
Is it communicating on the floor, or is it more fundamental?
I believe it's communication.
So they pass him off to the other guy, and the other guy doesn't catch him?
And especially with what UTSA was doing a lot, they were penetrating and then kicking it out to a corner, which a lot of times you've got guys that crash in to defend that drive, and then they kick it out to an open 3. I saw a lot of switches last night that guys just didn't switch off on and cover that open man. I saw a lot of that. But Brett, one thing that I thought was good last night was the Tigers' offense, and maybe you could say that's a bad UTSA defense. They didn't have a ton of size, but when you have
7.
That's very true. But you shot 50% from over 50% from the field, 47% from 3, making 11 threes. I saw Jason Munns wrote about this in his postgame story last night. That's the most made 3-pointers a Tiger team has had since they made 10 against Michigan. So there were some positives, especially on the offensive end. Now again, you can bat that away to a bad UTSA defense, but I do think there are some concerns defensively for this Tigers team.
Certainly, and one thing, kind of the most overarching thing, when everything was going well for the Eagles this year, when they were undefeated, and you had some analysts out there, Shannon Sharp was the loudest about it. There's some fundamental things that aren't right. It's going to catch up to them. To be that guy that warned, okay, I'm seeing signs that down the road there are going to be things to worry about. Here's one thing that I think that you could use to affirm that. The minutes played toll. It is adding up. Last night, Dandridge, 23, Jones, 36, Jourdain, 32, Walton, 35. This is overtime also.
Sure.
Quinterly, 37. We're down to about 6, maybe 7 guys.
Yeah. And
that bench is not very deep.
Yeah, and Brett, this team looks completely different when David Jones is not on the court. I mean, there are a lot of times where you'll see this Tiger team kind of go into those lulls.
Well, he's the one, get out of the way, clear out.
Exactly. And he, not in a negative way, but he demands the ball in his hands because, he is their go-to option. Absolutely. So we're going to talk a lot more about that game and what happened last night at FedEx Forum. A win, nonetheless, for the Tigers, but another scare as that game was way too close late. UTSA with a late lead, but the Tigers win it 107-103. Well, let me set up today's show. Before we get to top and not top story of the day at 3:30, Bill Bender from the Sporting News. He'll join us, talk some college football, our final regular visit of the year with Bill Bender. Of course, we'll have to talk about the national championship.
Crown the champ.
Seems like that happened years ago now. It only happened Monday.
Even some conspiracy out there that Saban did it to step on Michigan.
Yes, I love that.
72 years old. You think he's worried about who won it?
No, I don't think so. But we'll definitely talk about the national championship. But the big story will be Nick Saban and his retirement. event from the University of Alabama. 3:45, we'll bounce back into this conversation about the Tigers, their win over UTSA, a big one now Sunday afternoon on the road against Wichita State. 4 o'clock, Keith Smith will join us to talk the NBA. He's from Spot Track and the Front Office Show. A lot to get to with Keith on the NBA. 4:30, we're just going to talk about what all has happened over the last 24 hours. I mean, there's a lot of different directions you could go with this, Brett, and we'll talk a lot about the coaching changes all across the country.
Something new to talk about.
We might. That's happened over the last 24 hours. We'll do that at 4:30. 4:45, big number of the day, 5 o'clock. Greg Gaston will join us to talk Tigers like he always does on a Thursday afternoon. 5:30, we'll get to what's trending. At 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Taco Bell Crunch Time. But let me remind you, we're at Sissy's Log Cabin right now for their official grand opening for their new standalone location at 4542 Poplar Avenue in the Laurelwood Shopping Center. Make sure you get over here. We'll be here till 6 o'clock, but you can always visit here, this location, 4542 Poplar Avenue, open from 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Monday through Saturday.
Come by with us. It feels like today's the last day we can get out without getting frostbite over the next week or so. So please come by and visit us. This hour of our show brought to you every day by our title sponsor of this hour. That's Lexus of Memphis, the one and only Lexus dealership in town at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all 2024 models and always special leasing options. Call them at 901-334-9673 and drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2024 flagship LS500, and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, Brett, a lot of different directions I think you could go for top story of the day. Yeah, I think I'm going to go...
Spin the wheel.
Let's spin it. Bill Belichick is where it is landing for top story of the day. I think we all saw this coming. I mean, the talk has been out there for a while now, but Bill Belichick now out, mutually agreed is the way they put it today when New England announced that change. But it's a big change nonetheless, and now in the last 24 hours, Nick Saban has retired from the University of Alabama, but also the change for Bill Belichick in the NFL. You know, me and John Harden were talking about this earlier, and I didn't have a chance to ask him this question, but he said that the Nick Saban retirement felt bigger than Bill Belichick. And he asked me, did I think that was because we're in the South, where, you know, the SEC rings true down here, and Bill Belichick way up there in the Northeast?
No, only Brett's a SEC, but the rest of us aren't.
No, but my question is, do you think it's because Nick Saban, yes, there were some murmurings around, and maybe some people that thought it was coming, but it was just out of the blue. We saw this coming for a while with Bill Belichick. I mean, it's been since middle of the season in New England that we've been talking about, yep, this is probably
especially
it for him in New England.
That light wasn't coming on for Mac Jones.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And now it sounds, I was just listening on the way here, it sounds like Diana Rossini from The Athletic, who just does an unbelievable job covering the NFL for The Athletic. She is reporting that very strong interest, and Brett, you'll like to hear this, between Bill Belichick and the Atlanta Falcons. What you predicted
with
at news. That's right.
If I hit that one.
Oh, man, Brett. I mean, that'd be the biggest one.
And the worst kind of predictions are the ones that are coming up real soon.
That's right. That's right.
I was scared of that one. Good stuff. My top story, the last 24 hours.
Yeah.
Greatest college football coach ever. Greatest NFL coach ever. And a coach that won a college football national championship and a Lombardi trophy. Nick Saban, Bill Belichick, and Pete Carroll, the dominant coaches of the 21st century. Remember when Pete Carroll had the dynasty at USC?
Yeah.
He had the dynasty that Nick Saban said, I want to get to that type of level of football with his Alabama team, and he did it. And for now, the biggest of the three, though, I agree with John. The biggest of the three is Coach Nick Saban, because Belichick's going to be coaching and running a building and an organization.
That's a good point.
This time next week. Pete Carroll, I think, wants to be coaching. Maybe not running, buying the groceries and doing the cooking, going all full Parcells, but I think he at least wants to be a head coach of a team this time next week. But the Rose Bowl was it for Coach Nick Saban. how often will he be back in Tuscaloosa through the years? He's not going to lord over the program. He's not going to do that to his successor, but he's going to be back a lot. And here's why how I know he will be back. There will be some type of 10, 15, 20-year reunion every year, every weekend at Alabama with all they've won. And now he gets to go back instead of at halftime or pregame when they're doing that, or Friday night when they're doing that. He can actually go and attend and be one of the guys.
That's right.
I think he's looking forward to doing that.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story of the day, and Brett, it's easy for this to be overshadowed, but what's happened in the college basketball world over the last 48 hours? We talked a little bit about it yesterday. Number 1, Purdue lost Tuesday night on the road to Nebraska. Number 2, Houston lost Tuesday night on the road to Iowa State. But then last night, it just added to the craziness. Number 3, Kansas lost on the road to UCF. Shout out Johnny Dawkins, their first year in the Big 12. Number 5, Tennessee lost last night on the road to Mississippi State, and Tolu Smith's first start of the season for Mississippi State. Number 9, Oklahoma lost last night on the road to TCU, which now Houston, who's just coming off a loss, has to go down to TCU on Saturday. Number 11, Marquette lost last night at home to Butler, one that not a lot of people saw coming. And then to wrap it all up, number 21, Clemson lost last night on the road to Virginia Tech. It feels like, and Brett, we were talking about this before the show.
Losing.
Yeah, for real, Clemson, stop losing. But Brett, we were talking about this before the show. It seems like every year we talk about it. It's so wide open in college basketball.
Wide open in softball.
Softball, that's another one.
I never remember a year that it wasn't.
Yeah, but this year
this one really is.
It really feels
I think
like
we're about the 8th year of saying this one really is.
Yes, and I think we'll say it every year going forward as well. Yeah, but it's hard to win road conference games in college basketball. There's just so many things that happen, and we saw that a lot last night. I think Kansas was the biggest one that kind of had question marks.
Lost last night too.
Yeah, they lost last night. That was to Louisville, and I have some stats about Louisville's win last night during Big Number of the Day. Shout out Kenny Payne in Louisville. But I think Kansas was the most concerning last night, but also UCF. I mean, the atmosphere they had down there in Central Florida was huge. They stormed the court after that win, but a massive night in college basketball nonetheless, and one a lot of people will be talking about into the weekend.
My not top story, we do have 6 NFL playoff games as great Rob Fisher walks in. Look at there. Doesn't he look good?
He does.
We do have 6 NFL playoff games this weekend that we've kind of forgot about.
Yeah.
3 in domes, 1 in Florida, and 2 at the North Pole. Toasty in Kansas City. Toasty in Buffalo, 22 degrees at kickoff they're predicting in Buffalo. 8 degrees in Kansas City. Real field temperature, minus 30.
Incredible.
Minus 30. They're talking about maybe canceling the game or moving the game. You got to be kidding me. Bob Lilly.
Let's move it to like the Bahamas or something.
Bob Lilly was right about they were lucky to live
that's crazy.
through the Ice Bowl. For fans and stadium personnel, I wouldn't criticize if they kicked it back a day or two.
No.
I wouldn't go soft, man. 20. These big babies today. No. What if somebody had died at the Ice Bowl?
Yeah. You know who's the most happy about this game being so cold? Peacock. All the people that are going to be tuning in to watch
That's what they ought to change. Put it on real TV.
Yeah.
I don't have a good feeling for Tua Tagovailoa in this game. A guy from Hawaii that played college football in Tuscaloosa and in Miami have to play at 30 degrees below zero. That doesn't sound good.
No, that is not fun. And I'm sure
that's a wagering take right there.
Yeah, no, it really is. But I'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to our first break. When we come back, we're talking college football with Bill Bender.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings & Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings & Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings & Grill.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to know? Too hard.
Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes isn't long.
Nope. And they're fun. So you don't realize you're learning a language, but you are. In 3 weeks, you're able to start having conversations. And Babbel's lessons are built around real life.
And with Babbel, it isn't hard.
It's perfect.
Start learning a new language today. Go to Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
We all appreciate luxury. We love the newest technology. We want something that sparkles and looks great. Well, I've got it all in one place. It's called Genesis of Olive Branch, right at the corner of Highway 78, that's Lamar, and the first exit in Mississippi, that's Craft Road. Turn left and you will see Genesis of Olive Branch. And right now, you can get the 2024 Genesis GV70 starting at $49,480 with special financing as low as 3.49% on select models. How about the 2024 Genesis GV80? A little bit bigger, starting at $55,995, financing as low as 5.49% with a $2,000 rebate when trading a luxury brand. Call them. They'll even bring you a Genesis at your work or your home for a test drive. They're convinced that when you drive a Genesis, you're going to want one. Call 662-890-6684. Ask for Vinny. Genesis of Olive Branch.
Don't miss your Grizzlies tomorrow at 7 p.m. when they host the Los Angeles Clippers, presented by Travel Nurses. Arrive early. First 5,000 will receive a Jaren Jackson Jr. growth chart. Get ready for a Western Conference showdown and secure your tickets today by visiting Grizzlies.com.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. A little bit crowded at times through certain parts of Midtown as that traffic increases southbound on 240 from Union all the way down to Norris. Still holding up right now south of Memphis on the interstate on 55 as you head through South Haven all the way down into DeSoto County. Hey, 24/7 reliable crane and rigging services right here in the Memphis area. Call Tomahawk Crane and Rigging. They're online. Check them out at tomahawkcrane.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Joining Brian and Brett now on Sports Time is Bill Bender, National College Football writer for the Sporting News and on Twitter X at Bill Bender. Here's Bill with Brian and Brett.
Bill Bender joins us now from the Sporting News to talk college football. Has been a regular on a Thursday afternoon all season long, but our last regular visit with him. But I'm sure with all the news going on,
to talk about.
Yeah, nothing. Absolutely, Bill. Thanks so much for joining us. I know, obviously, the story blocking out the sun in college football right now is Alabama and Nick Saban retiring. But I do want to start off with the national championship game. Michigan, a winner over Washington, I thought really controlled the game most of the night. What did you make of what Michigan was able to do over Washington Monday night?
Bill, you there?
A good start with the 2 touchdown runs, and then it was from there. I mean, it was tight in the fourth quarter, but you got to give Michigan credit for closing the game out on both sides. I thought, despite all of the off-the-field stuff, it never deterred the fact that this was the best team in the country on the field.
All year.
Yeah.
From the East Carolina game through all zeros on the board in Houston against Washington, they were the best. And, a few in the South are wanting to pick at and maybe have, I think, a playful asterisk, and there's a really, really small few that are serious about it. No way. I roundly reject that, Bill.
No, it'll always be part of the story. The in-person stealing or sign stealing and in-person scouting part. I don't think it's enough to put an asterisk on it. I think it's enough to maybe, some secondary NCAA violations. We can get into that, but just on the field. The strange part is I don't even think they needed to do that because the team was just so darn good. To run, especially on the defensive side of the ball, and what they were able to do against Michael Penix and keep the ball in front of them. So, I just think it should take away what they did on the field. But if somebody feels that way, that's really up to them.
Yeah. I just so disagree with them. And at the time, at the first allegation of it, I know I said this. I said this on these airways. Maybe said it with you, Bill. it reminded me of why in the world did Nixon break into the Watergate? He was going to win in a landslide anyway. You just didn't have to do that. But we know in trying to win and trying to help a team that sometimes people can get over exuberant.
It was college football's version of Watergate in some ways, and here at the end of it, it probably end up with Jim Harbaugh. I mean, the consensus I got out of people in Houston, and I'm not saying anything substantial, but I mean, it's already been reported that the prevailing notion is that he'll be in the NFL next year. So I would anticipate we'll know by Monday. I don't see them announcing that Saturday when the Wolverines are going to have this national championship parade in Ann Arbor.
His successor, who do you think it will be?
Sharon Moore makes the most sense. Now, a couple things have caught my attention with Kalen DeBoer in the last. Not only he's kind of getting tossed around as a Michigan candidate, also if you look at the Alabama betting odds, he's on that list, which is very interesting to me. With the quick news that Dan Lanning is a candidate for this job.
Well, and that was really the surprise. Both me and Brett have been talking kind of all day about that because it seemed like yesterday after the news that Nick Saban was going to retire, it seemed like everybody was pointing that Dan Lanning was going to be the next guy. Were you as surprised as we were that Dan Lanning decided to stick with Oregon?
Yeah, I mean, no. I mean, it's really tough to fill a legend's shoes. And that's obviously what's going on with Alabama. I don't know if I would be in a hurry to replace Nick Saban for anybody. And he's got a good thing going at Oregon. It's a very similar debate when you look at the rest of the candidates. So we've talked to Bohr and Lanning, then you get into Lane and Sark and Dabo and Mike Norvell. One of those guys is going to be the guy places the guy, and that's never been an easy proposition.
The time frame for everyone, I think, is really got to be moved along because if there's a coaching change, there's a new portal or a new opening for all those players, and even without that, we know there's going to be other rounds of portals, and everybody's trying to raid everybody else's roster.
I mean, that's another unfortunate side effect of the game right now, but, it obviously – it was time for Nick Saban. And Alabama's still going to have a really talented roster. They may have some guys go elsewhere. I could understand that. But I'm sure they'll find somebody that can handle this job. We talked to Matt Fortuna on Bill Troche and I's podcast this morning. He does a really good job with the inside zone. And he kind of sold me on this idea that Mike Norvell might be that guy that just kind of the in-between hire. The other one to me is like, I just don't see Sark leaving.
Yeah.
He's already kind of climbed the mountain at with how he's rebuilt them. Why would you put yourself in a situation where, I don't know. That's a tough one. I can see it both ways.
And we know in the coaching world there's really only one offer, no matter all the speculation and all the flirtation. But how many names have to be officially pulled before Ole Miss fans have to get on alert?
I was talking to somebody that covers the sport last night, and they were trying to sell me on Lane. And it makes sense because Lane, has a familiarity. It would be a little bit of a different world. He's just a different person than Nick, and we remember that from when they were coaching together. They're just two inherently different people. Not saying that's bad one way or the other, but it would obviously be a lot less buttoned up Tuscaloosa if Lane Kiffin were to take that job.
Yeah, Alabama, a little more corporate, a little more. You got to put on that red blazer and that red and white rep tie and do the country club corporate thing a little more. But I just don't. I don't see that many no's, and I don't see him really wanting to leave because he's almost gone through that same trial period that Sark has gone through.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, he's got Ole Miss where he's got him, but I mean, those are two that obviously with familiarity factor, and they've had success, and they've been a part of. I mean, at least in Sark's case, the 2020 team, he was part of a team that won a national championship. Lane was there in 15 when they won a national championship, and that would make them attractive candidates. But I think it's out of that list. Kalen DeBoer, like we said, could be a wild card. D'Amico Ryans, I saw his name on there.
Mm-hmm.
I just seems like more like an NFL guy to me than would go back to Alabama, but you just never know.
And can they wait? If he won this weekend with the Texans, can they wait with this urgency that it feels like all the Saban numbers, and there's just a mountain of numbers, 297 career wins, 206 and 29 at Bama from the 2009 season on. 7-8 were his first 2 years. In 2009, he goes undefeated, beats Texas at the Rose Bowl Stadium in the BCS National Championship game. From that point on, he only lost 21 games from 2009 through the Rose Bowl, and the biggest margin was by 28 to Clemson. What's the Bama Saban number that amazes even you, Bill?
24-6 in, if you take LSU and SEC championship game, in Alabama, SEC championship game, BCS championship game, playoff college football championship game, LSU and Alabama. You add up all those stats, 24-6. 80% of the time, ultimate big game.
It's stunning.
Unbelievable. And
impressive.
That's where I will remember him. He was a big game coach, and when you beat him, it wasn't a big deal. I believe Bill Turchie, my editor, was throwing it out there today that he only lost 8 schools in non-conference play, including bowls, in 17 seasons. So there's like 1,000 different ways to say, oh my gosh, this guy was the best.
Yeah.
Michigan forever can say we beat him the last time in his last game, but Clemson can say we beat him worse than anybody else. Clemson winning by 28 is stunning because everything else was really tight. A lot of one-score games.
Yeah.
Right. So between that and Georgia getting them, here are the other stats that I in that 24-6. Wild that those 6 losses, guys to beat him, Urban, Kirby, and Jim Harbaugh. So you have to be an elite coach to beat him, and I would consider all 4 of those guys elite coaches. You would have to be that good just to have a chance to beat Nick Saban.
Oh, that is a great point. So he lost to South Carolina and Spurrier. He lost to LSU and Miles. He lost to Auburn in the national championship year. Lost to Johnny Manziel. Lost to Big Game Bob Stoops. Lost to Freeze twice. Lost to Urban Meyer and Ohio State in the college football playoff. Dabo. You mentioned Kirby. You mentioned Harbaugh. You mentioned all the great ones. It took a great knocking off a great. That is a great point, Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously he's had this wonderful career, and sound like it's health issues or anything like that. It just sounds like it was time to go, and that's why I'm not like overly shocked by the news. I guess I was a little thrown off by the timing, but there's never a good time for things like that to happen.
Everybody knows the old saying of everything ends. And I had somebody tell me that usually everything ends poorly or it wouldn't be ending. It's not ending poorly for Belichick or Saban. And I think even after a few days pass, not even for Pete Carroll.
No, these guys are getting out, and it sucks in some ways because these are some of the best coaches ever.
All 72 or so.
Between all those experiences, and Pete was able to do it at both, and Belichick doing it. I think the stat I threw out there this morning was in the last 23 years, 13 of those years, either New England or Alabama played for a championship, Super Bowl or a national championship. In some years, both of them did it at the same time. It's the craziest. Brett, you've been around this game for a while. It's the longest sustained run of kind of dueling dynasties that I could ever think of.
This morning, I'm stealing this from Mike Greenberg. He said it on TV this morning. It would be the same if Lombardi and Bryant retired within 24 hours.
Right, yeah. I mean, and it would probably be very similar to that. And that's what we're dealing with. And then you throw Pete Carroll on it. And then you throw the fact that, I mean, college football could lose Jim Harbaugh over the weekend. I think, like we said, pretty high chance that happens. Max getting toward the end there at North Carolina. And then you would only have 2 coaches national championship at their school in Kirby Smart and Dabo Swinney. And then what if Dabo goes to Alabama? Then Kirby would be the only person with a national title at his school, which is just crazy. I don't think I can remember a time where that's ever happened.
It's incredible. I mean, it's been a wild last 24 hours, and I'm sure it's going to get even wilder as we get into the weekend. But, Bill, thanks so much for joining us, as always. Yeah, our final regular visit with you.
We're going to check in the summer.
Oh, yeah, especially with all this news. I'm sure we'll be checking in a little bit.
Yeah, thanks. Hey, guys, thanks so much for a wonderful year, a wonderful season. We definitely will catch up some during the off-season here, and you guys treat me the best. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you. You treat us great. Yeah. We sure appreciate it. Just so grand every week to visit with Bill and his fun-loving, sunny disposition. I think people can hear in the knowledge and the credibility. I think people know.
Yeah, absolutely. Always fun. And, I mean, he seems pretty sold that Jim Harbaugh going to the NFL. And, I mean, that's something that's been out there. But I think, a lot of people are, there's some people on the side of he's going to the NFL, some people on the side of he's going to come back, especially after winning the national championship. But, man, think about that. If we, before we get back here, I know today's Thursday, but before we get back on Monday, if now Jim Harbaugh is in the NFL, I mean, that'd be crazy.
It will be, and somebody's getting a great coach there. And I'm trying to find this to be accurate. I heard this morning, there's just so many nuggets out there about how historic this is, but it's also historic for the Patriots that their last 3 head coaches, I think this is right, of course Belichick,
sure,
Pete Carroll,
yeah,
and Bill Parcells.
Wow.
And the Kraft family, they haven't hired a coach in 24 years.
Crazy.
But when they have to hire one, they've gotten it really right.
Yeah, and like me and Johnny were saying yesterday, college football has there has not been a college football really for us without Nick Saban. There certainly hasn't been an NFL without Bill Belichick. With the Patriots, it's just a different time now in both college football and the NFL. But we need to get to a break. Let me remind you, we are at Sissy's Log Cabin, 4542 Poplar Avenue in the Laurelwood Shopping Center for their official grand opening. Get over here and stop by. We'll be here till 6 o'clock. Just a beautiful store with plenty of beautiful jewelry in it. So come have a look around, stop by, say hello. We're going to be giving away some prizes a little bit later in the show, so keep listening. But definitely make sure you stop by Sissy's Log Cabin, 4542 Poplar Avenue inside the Laurelwood Shopping Center. Well, let's get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the Tigers and their win over UTSA. That's next on Sports Time.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
There have been times when all seemed dark, when it seemed night would last forever. Souls wandered the earth in search of something satisfying, something fulfilling. And then, when all seemed lost, dawn broke, and it was sunrise. At last the people had their dream realized. They could have not just breakfast, or lunch, or even 11sies, but they could have them served fast and fresh and made just for them. At last, at long last, the cock has crowed.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
If you haven't switched to Metashare yet, 2 big reasons to at least consider it and why it makes so much sense right now. Number 1 is inflation, which is just affecting everything. It just makes sense to say, okay, where can I actually save? Well, you can save a lot in one fell swoop if you switch to Metashare. The typical family saves $500 a month. Secondly, your conscience. Metashare members aren't forced to pay for things they don't support or believe in, and that's a big deal for a lot of people right now. They want their money to actually help people. And one more reason, you can trust Metashare. It's been the gold standard for healthcare sharing for more than 30 years. It works, and members love it, too. It has double the member satisfaction rating compared to health insurance. So now's a great time to consider making the switch, and they are very easy to talk to. Medi-Share has great customer service. You can call now and get a price within 2 minutes. Here's the number. It's 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE, 855-51-BIBLE.
Looking for a high-efficiency planting solution? The Case IH 2150 Early Riser Planter combines the industry's most accurate planter technologies with a rugged row unit for a fast and uniform emergence. The Case IH 2150 Early Riser operates at your speed and adapts to unique field conditions so that you can maximize your yield potential. Stop in or call Mid-South Ag Equipment at 662-890-3141 to learn more. That's Mid-South Ag, your Case IH Equipment headquarters.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you. We're live at Sissy's Log Cabin here in the Laurelwood Shopping Center for their grand opening. We were here about a month ago for their kind of soft launch before Christmas, but now back, the grand opening. They had all the festivities earlier this morning, and now it's Brett, business as usual, as they say after grand openings, and it's a really a beautiful spot here.
They are rolling. They had a great holiday season. Appreciate everyone so much, and we're right back in another holiday for
the
countdown to Valentine's, and they have so many beautiful pieces. The Sissy's Promise ensures that every time you walk in, you can expect four things: exceptional service, an expansive selection, an extraordinary experience, and quality pieces. They have that, and they want you to come by. We want you to come by and see us. We're here until 6 at 4542 Poplar. Please come by and check this out. We've never had anything like this.
No, we haven't. I mean, it really is. We talked a lot about it the first time we were here, and it just, still is really impressive.
Aaron,
you told me about it. I'm going to have to go take a peek at them because I was not aware of the line of watches, the Hank Aaron watches.
It is.
You told me about it,
and it's a limited line. There's a certain number, and I'm going to have to look up. It matches his number of RBI.
Okay,
and I think he's at or near the top of all-time 2297.
Wow.
His number RBI, and that's how many in that line.
So they only made that many.
That's it.
Wow. That's incredible. Yeah, no, I'm going to have to go get a peek at that for sure because that will, that will pique my interest, of course. But Brett, we talked earlier a lot about the Tigers. Their win last night,
and he does lead in RBI.
Oh yeah,
at 2297.
I mean, you throw up a number like that, it's hard for anybody to top it. Yeah. But Brett, we were talking about the Tigers win. Another scary win for the Tigers. Another one that came down to the end. And really, I think a lot of people were sitting going, is Javon Quinterly going to have to win this for the Tigers again? And looked like he was going to, but then Penny Hardaway called a timeout while he was kind of driving to the basket,
which I think was a good timeout. Because that play, the ball didn't go in, did it?
Well, I don't think anybody
shot up.
Yeah, I don't think he got a shot up. Certainly the defense stopped. I don't even know if he put the ball up, but no, I mean, it was a scary game. But Brett, they did win. They remain winning. I think now they're up there in terms of, because of everything that's happened, fifth longest active winning streak in the country, with Dayton, Georgia, Grand Canyon, Samford, and Utah State in front of them.
Great note. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so with everything that's kind of happened over the last couple of days with these top 25 teams falling, they're right up there in longest active win streaks. So, they keep on winning, but I think there are some things to keep an eye on as this team goes forward.
Yeah, and the biggest thing to keep an eye on, and a lot of things have to be worked out, is today is January 11th. We're still in the infancy of this season in the very earliest stages of conference play. Look, I think when there's time and place to freak out, I'll be out here freaking out with the best of them. I just don't think it's right now. Last night was not aesthetically pleasing, but in the end, the left-hand column's what you play for. You can learn a lot more watching that tape and running those drills and showing what you did wrong today in practice after a win than you can after what would have been a crushing net ranking loss.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it fell anyway with a win.
Yeah.
And I think you probably could count 10 more pegs if it had been a loss.
Sure. Let's see. Tigers.
That's not going to improve Sunday with a road win.
No. But it dropped 3 spots after that win last night for the Tigers. 47 yesterday, 50 today. Wichita State also fell from yesterday. They were 128, now 132. So, yeah, you're probably going to fall no matter what happens against Wichita State. But, Brett, I was talking to one of my buddies last night, and this is not an excuse. This isn't anything. It's just something that, happens when college basketball, especially when conference season rolls around. I mean, conference play is a completely different game than non-conference. I mean, the way the schedule is set up is usually you play a game and then you have 5 days to a week off before your next game. You're well rested, you're recovered, and then you go out and play again. Conference play, but this team is playing Thursday night, then Sunday night, then Wednesday night, then Sunday. I mean, it is a quick turnaround, and that's not an excuse for how they're playing, but it is something to keep an eye on. I mean, when you have a new team like that, and when they're turning around like that, and for a team like Memphis, they benefit a lot because of who they are. They can play a lot of home non-conference games. And so you've got a lot of people coming to you, you're staying at home, and you don't have that, we got to hop on a plane, go to this place, then come back, or go to this place next, and it's a lot, and teams have to get used to that when conference play starts. So I don't think it's freak out yet. Let's see if they settle down in these next couple of games. There's certainly things to work off. Absolutely. But I think, the screaming of how are we not blowing these teams away is crazy.
They're working on stuff today.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Everybody's doing that. Everybody's trying to get to that sweet spot of the year, and I just don't think it's time for that. Remember, in the preseason, I had Sunday at Wichita State is one of my 3 conference losses. I won't be surprised if it happens Sunday.
Yeah.
I don't I don't know what style. If it's heartbreakingly, not freak. If it's 17, I don't think it's freak out.
Yeah, one, I think, Jaquan Walton, who's very, very familiar with Wichita State and playing games in that arena, he talked after the game in his press conference kind of saying, if we, and that's another thing, Braze, these slow starts that the Tigers have gotten out on. And he said it, if we go out and we start off the game like we have started all of these other conference games, we're going to get beat. I mean, that crowd, it's not going to be, I don't think really meant to take a shot at Tulsa, but said this isn't going to be a Tulsa crowd that we're seeing in Wichita. This is going to be a crowd that goes out and is loud, rambunctious, and it's going to be an issue. Brett, you're absolutely right. Johnny, we got to give you some credit.
We're short on time. We owe Johnny an apology.
We do.
Johnny, we buried the Tiger bankroll lead. Johnny Hill goes against his alma mater.
Sure did.
Your alumni association dues just went up. Went up more than you won last night.
And don't go looking for your diploma, because
that could be going too. You won 40 last night. I lost 20. Bryant lost 50. Good job, Johnny. We're sorry.
Yeah. Hey, it's okay. It's okay. I appreciate the credit.
Well, hey, let's keep that rolling for you, Johnny. Let's add another win this weekend against Wichita State. I don't know it's a Sunday game. We'll have to do that off air, but we're honest people. We're always honest when it comes to our Tiger bankroll pick. Well, we need to get to a break and wrap up this hour. Again, we're at Sissy's Log Cabin here in the Laurelwood Shopping Center. Make sure you come out. We'll be here till 6:00, but they're open every day till 5:30, Monday through Saturday. So make sure you stop by Sissy's Log Cabin and experience all of this great jewelry that they have to offer. But let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back to start our second hour, we're talking NBA with Keith Smith.
Hi, this is Jonah Gamble, left guard for University of Memphis football. Let us help you use your home's value for all those projects or vacations you've been putting off. Now you can borrow up to 100% loan to value. No closing costs for loans $50,000 or less. Online banking accessible. Interest-only payments for the first 10 years. You can apply at southernsecurity.org or by calling our member service team at 901-452-7900. Southern Security is an equal housing lender. Southern Security is a proud sponsor of the University of Memphis.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
Did you know some ordinary cold medicines can raise your blood pressure? That's alarming. Fortunately, there's Vicks NyQuil High Blood Pressure. It's specially formulated without alcohol, sugar, or decongestants to provide fast, powerful nighttime colds and flu symptoms relief for people with high blood pressure. So if you have high blood pressure, try NyQuil High Blood Pressure. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, colds, and flu for people with high blood pressure medicine. Use as directed and keep out of reach of children.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. A little bit of traffic going outbound on Sam Cooper as you pass Perkins headed towards the interstate. Once you get on I-40, that's a clear shot right now. Eastbound I-40 all the way out into Fayette County. A little bit of radar out there earlier just past 269 going eastbound on I-40. Weimer's Jewelry located 7525. Highway 64 is your Valentine's Day headquarters. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Time to talk NBA with Keith Smith from Spot Rack and the Front Office Show, and on Twitter X at Keith Smith NBA. Here's Keith Smith talking basketball with Bryant and Brett.
Keith Smith joins us now from Spot Track and the Front Office Show like he does every single Thursday to talk the NBA, and a lot to get to, a lot happening across the association. But Keith, let's start off with the Memphis Grizzlies. A lot happening over the last couple of days, but it started with the news right after 9 games after returning to the floor. Ja Morant is now out for the season with a shoulder injury. He had surgery this morning. Everything went well. Successful surgery was reported by the Grizzlies. So he's out for the rest of the season. And then earlier today, we also learned Marcus Smart, after what looked like to be dislocating his finger the other night against Dallas, he will be not back, but reevaluated in 6 weeks. It just seems like this is what we've been talking about really every single week with you. This team just cannot stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, we're at the point now, the wheels have come off, right? This season, you hate to say this before you even hit the halfway point, but it's over for Memphis. They're already 4.5 games out, I believe, of the final play-in spot. They have to climb a couple teams to even get there. So we're just in a spot where it's gone sideways on them. And, there's nothing that anybody did wrong necessarily as far as the injuries go or anything like that. Sometimes it just happens. So now you make the best of it. You get a chance to look at a lot of your younger guys and see what they look like. And then, maybe you fall into a pretty good draft pick and you pick yourselves up over the offseason, get ready to go for next year.
And now the very potential of maybe Marcus Smart and dealing him, you can't, because that the evaluation period gets outside of even the trade deadline, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're talking about 6 weeks before they're even going to look at it. So we're thinking, that's well past the trade deadline because of the nature of the injury and the role he plays as a ball handler, a guy who has the ball a lot to pass, shoot, and dribble.
Very handsy.
You're in a spot where it's going to be very hard to trade him. So I think now what we're looking at is this kind of is what it is for the Grizzlies. You're probably, you might make a smaller move or two and move a couple other guys, but for the most part, you're going to run out there, do the best you can each night, and kind of see where it goes.
We were just talking earlier, Keith, that every year at this time, I think I say it and Bryant says it, so many people say it and feel it, that it's wide open in college basketball and the bubble is always soft. And another thing always at this time, except for people like you that really know it, everybody thinks the draft doesn't offer very much. What does the draft offer in June?
Yeah, it's funny. Every draft is it's an okay draft, and every once in a while
No
you
kidding.
get one where people are like, "This thing is loaded," and there's talent left and right, and teams are going to be tanking day one of the season and everything else. But this draft right now, it's a little down. You had a lot of guys reclassify over the last couple of years, so you've seen some guys move in to other spots, or other draft classes. You've also had a few guys who were the high recruits in this class did not really pan out, and a couple of guys who went the G League route haven't really popped the way that other guys have that have gone that path. So we're in a spot, though, where, I was talking to somebody about this morning, actually, and they're like, it's the middle of January. Every draft's kind of in the middle of January. And by the time June rolls around, we all kind of like it. We feel pretty good about, 10 to 20 players. So basically what I'm feeling about this draft right now is it feels like we are lacking the stars at the top, but once you get past that part of it, we've got probably 10, 15 guys who are going to step into NBA roles and be really good role players in the NBA.
Keith, do you think part of it, especially kind of this early into the process, is, one, we don't have the mega superstar like we had in Victor Wembanyama last year, but also, I've been looking at some of these mock drafts, some of the guys that are at the top of the list, and there's just not many guys in college basketball. Like you said, it's a lot of overseas guys. It's a lot of guys playing G League Ignite. Do you think that's part of where some of this draft is soft, is because we're not seeing them on ESPN playing for Kentucky or playing for Duke? Yeah, the image of it.
Yeah, I think so. I think for your average fan who is, all right, I'm going to tune in to a couple college games a week maybe, and just to check out guys. Those guys just aren't there, right? You're having to go search out and find G League Ignite games, or go check out Alex Starr playing over in Australia, or try to go find the guys that are playing over in France and the like. It's a really tough draft class for college players this year. That we may see the top 3-4 guys all be selected from outside of the college ranks, and that's just this year. I don't know that that's going to be a continued thing year over year, because a year from now's draft class we're going to have Cooper Flagg, and then he's probably going to be the top pick, and everybody's going to be lining up for him, and he's going to be a college player. So it's just one of those years right now.
I also saw the news today, Woj put it out that there's been conversations and really kind of just waiting for a sign-off from the NBA Players Association to move the draft to a 2-day period. And kind of, they haven't really said how they would do it, but now instead of having the draft 1 day, make it 2 days. What do you make of that move? Are you in favor of them going to 2 days, or do you like what it is right now with just the 1 day and both rounds back to back?
I'm going to go in very open-minded and hope that it can be really good. My worry is that this is just a way for the programming partners to fill in late June, fill 2 nights of programming for a couple hours apiece, and push out a couple-hour show, and we're just going to run through the draft picks very quickly. And instead of doing it in a 5 or 6 hour window in one night, it's all going to happen in about a 4 hour window spread over 2 nights. And that part I don't love, that idea.
Yeah.
If we lengthen it out and we actually get some real analysis on the draft picks, and we get some real breakdowns on what some of these kids are, especially as we get later in the draft, I think that would just help fans too. I think fans would like it. I mean, we've seen the NFL
to
draft.
learn about it.
Yeah, people watch the 6th and 7th round of the NFL draft. Still, part of it's because they're dying for football at that point, but a lot of it is just hey, these guys are going to be in training camp. I want to know about them. Well, in the NBA, you're only talking 2 rounds, and we do see the second rounders pop sometimes. So I'd like to see them, as long as they devote a little bit more time, spend a little bit more time on the picks, there could be interesting things. We may see things. The biggest quote you hear after draft is, if we started it over right now, it would go completely different. And that's one of the things you may see teams with that pause say, man, I didn't know we could have got that guy. Let's make a trade for him, or something like that. Yeah. So I think that's going to be a fun component too.
And Keith, we were talking about the kind of the unknown aspect to a lot of these players because they're not going through the traditional college ranks, or maybe people aren't watching college basketball until around tournament time. So maybe if you did it over the 2 nights, if like you said, if we did it right, if we did it well, if we did it smartly, kind of Dick Ebersol at the Olympics, up close and personal, and we really learned something, it may brand these guys as a little more known than you wait until they draft you and you have the media availability in the local town, and then media day in September before you ever really know anything about your assets.
Yeah, absolutely. You could have a carryover effect, too, where it's like, hey, I remember watching my team pick this guy. I watched 2-3 minutes of highlights, and they talked to him. It really sounds like he could be an interesting fit. And now he's going to play for the team in Las Vegas at Summer League. And now I'm going to be interested, and there's going to be a carryover to that as well. So, there's a thought process out there that the second round of the NBA draft is for the hardcore fans, the maniacs, the sickos like me that are like, man, I want to know every single one of these guys, and there's some truth to that. And I'll be honest, I still like the fact that at 12:30, 1 o'clock, sometimes 2 o'clock Eastern, who really loves this stuff because they're still up. They're still watching, they're still talking about it, but I'm okay with them changing it up. Let's see how it goes, and I trust in the NBA's ability to try something new, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, we'll tweak it, and we'll try something a little bit different, and we'll go. It's like the All-Star game. They did the draft thing for a couple of years, and it's kind of interesting and fun, and now we're going to get back to normal a little bit more. So I think, we're going to see them keep tweaking and adjusting these things to try to deliver the best product possible.
And we know you were watching live today with the game in Paris at Accor Arena. I think that's the old Palais Omnisport in Paris.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but I was definitely watching the game today. It was interesting that they got to see a full-scale NBA fight, and I'm putting fight in quotes very much.
Hold me back.
A couple guys got into it there a little bit, but interesting game. The Nets they're struggling right now. They're really having a hard time. Their offense isn't very good. They've got a lot of overlapping guys. I think that's a team that's probably going to do some stuff here over the next few weeks leading into the trade deadline, because I think they're just in a really messy spot. And then you've got the Cavs. They're playing pretty good ball right now. Even though Darius Garland's out, Evan Mobley's out, they've been playing pretty good, and they're really starting to figure things out. And they put themselves firmly in the mix in the Eastern Conference, somewhere between the 4 and 5, 6 seed there in the top half of the East, and that's important because that keeps you out of the play-in tournament.
Keith, I was right about Accor Arena in Paris at Palais Omnisport, and how did I know that? I once did an arena football game at Palais Omnisport between the Memphis Pharaohs and the Milwaukee Mustangs.
How about that?
There you go. That's the good stuff. I still
live, local, and late breaking.
That's
Keith.
Right.
We still used to have the Predators here in Orlando, but we don't have them. I miss going to the arena games every once in a while. But, they're long since gone here.
Yeah,
it was a long way to go to watch bad football, I can assure you.
I bet.
Keith, I want to get back to the Grizzlies because in addition to all of the injuries, the Grizzlies did make moves yesterday. Vince Williams Jr. was signed to a 3-year deal, and also because of that, they waived Bismack Biyombo. On one hand, what do you think of what Vince Williams has been able to do for the Grizzlies this year, and what this contract means for both him and the Grizzlies? And then on the other side,
maybe the story of the year for the Grizzlies.
It really might be. But on the other side of that, Keith, Bismack Biyombo being waived, they brought him in to be a big. They now have one open two-way contract. I know you wrote about some intriguing two-way guys, I think last week. Is there a guy that kind of sticks out to you, maybe a big man that the Grizzlies could go out and sign to a two-way contract that could be an addition for them?
Yeah, I think a guy who would make a lot of sense for them might be a guy like Trey Jemison, who is playing for the Birmingham Squadron right now. He is a big, athletic guy. He is kind of your throwback big in that he stays around the basket, blocks shots, rebounds, and he dunks. He doesn't do a lot else. He's not out there trying to shoot threes and that, but he's a really athletic player. He's tough. I like this kid from Mexico City, too. His name's Juan Miranda. He's very young. He's extremely raw. He follows everything that moves. So you got to be very careful with him, but on a two-way contract, he could be somebody that you bring in and see, all right, let's bring this guy in as a developmental guy and see what it looks like. I also wouldn't be surprised if they end up going the hardship route now that again, you've got Smart out, Adams out, Clark out, Morant's out. I think they got to wait about 4 or 5 days to get there. Those guys have been out enough games. They can get another hardship spot. And maybe they bring Biombo back that way and say, hey, we're just going to bring you right back and bring you in on a contract that way, because I know they were very happy with him. They liked what he did for the team. But for now, it's going to be, hey, let's get by with the guys we got and kind of figure it out. Now, Vince Williams, they asked about him. Well earned for Vince Williams.
Yeah.
He has been terrific for the Grizzlies. I don't know if I think maybe nationally some people have tuned out a little bit on Memphis, but he is a kid who plays extremely hard. He's defended, he's rebounded, bigger than his size. He's not afraid to get in there and mix it up, and he's actually shot it okay this year. That was always going to kind of be the question with him. So I think Memphis did well to get him kind of locked in there, but bring him in the fold long term. And now he's got him on a very team-friendly contract for the next few years, and that's going to be important as the rest of the roster gets more and more expensive as they build it out.
Keith, much loved and much respected here in Memphis. Darko Rajakovic, he won here last Wednesday night, and then he lost his mind the other night in Los Angeles. He got hit with $25,000 fine. You knew that was coming. You just can't. You can't go to the game. You can't go. The games are fixed.
Yeah, you even remotely suggest that you're going to get him. And he got the fine, and we'll see where it goes. But I bet you he walked back in that locker room, and as soon as his guys had seen it, they're like, "Thanks, coach, you had our back." And that's all that really matters. That's going to be like one of my favorite movies from back in the day a little bit, but Mighty Ducks 2, when the kid gets the penalty because he starts beating up on the big guys from Iceland, and he says 2 minutes, well worth it. Like that's what it is, right? At $25K, well worth it, for Darko, because he did what he had to do to take care of his team. Now, I also don't know that he was wrong. 23-2 in a single quarter of a free throw discrepancy. That's out of control. Now, you can say they were intentionally fouling, and they were, but you knock 8 of those out of there, it's still 15-2. Who wants to watch a free throw shooting competition like that? I tell people all the time, if you love free throw shooting, go to your local CYO. They host a free throw shooting competition just about every week. You can watch the kids, shoot free throws. But nobody wants to watch that on the big stage.
No, not at all. Keith, speaking of the Raptors, I'm curious, we talked last week about the trade they made with the New York Knicks, a big trade, really the biggest one we've seen in the NBA this season, and really, I've thought the Raptors have played well. They've won 3 games since that, and the 3 losses they've had, they've been very competitive in all of those. The Knicks are playing good basketball right now. Can we reasonably say that both teams kind of came out better in the deal, and that this is, that kind of it's a better deal for all the players that were involved in this trade?
Yeah, I mean, we're still a long way from writing the history of that one. Let's see what Anunoby and Quickly do on their next contracts and the like. But, yeah, I think as it looks, in the moment, and then even more so since, this feels like a win-win trade. It feels like both sides got what they needed. It put the Knicks into a player who's just a better fit for them in Anunoby. Precious Achiuwa is going to turn out to be a big player for them as their backup center. And then for the Raptors, this sets them on a different direction, and that's fine. They kind of needed to do that a little bit. You had to start moving things in a slightly different way, and they're able to do that now with Emmanuel Quickly. They're basically locked into him as a starter, and R.J. Barrett is going to be a pretty good player for them, too, as well. So, yeah, I feel like this is definitely a win-win trade, and we'll see where the contracts go from here.
One of the things that Darko said the other night in his frustration is the Lakers had to have this game. They're in a lot of have-to-have games. Yeah. If they were in that the other night, they're in it tonight at home against Phoenix, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. They are in a spot not all that dissimilar to last season where it is, hey, we can't afford bad losses. We got to get these wins. We have to stack wins, especially in the home games. We've got to take care of those. Then go out and get a few road games and we'll be okay. But they're in a fight right now. Golden State, they're stumbled, but they're not out of it. Utah, though, is hanging right in there. They're putting the pressure on. You got Phoenix still in the mix there, and Houston's not going away. So, if you're the Lakers and you're hoping, all right, maybe we can get up and out of the play-in tournament, you've got a lot of work to do because there's a pretty good amount of ground to make up to catch the teams in front of them. So they've really got to try to figure it out to make it happen. But for the most part, I think the Lakers, we'll see. Maybe they've got another big set of trade deadline moves in them that's going to turn them into a very good team again. But right now, that team looks like, yeah, they're okay. But I don't know that I'd be putting any kind of big money on them to beat anybody in a postseason series just because I don't feel like that's where they are and that's not how they're built.
They enter a game 39 tonight, 19-19 through 38 games. Last year, through 38 games, they were 17-21. So it's not much difference.
Yeah, they're basically right in the same spot. And the difference is this year, LeBron James and Anthony Davis have not missed time. They've been there.
Right.
So this is really, you're in a spot where it is, all right, we're scraping 500. Our best guys have been around. And, how are we going to make it better? Really, the only real answer, I know Lakers fans like to scream. The real answer is, fire Darvin Ham and, I don't know, hire Phil Jackson again or some other nonsense that they dream up. But I think it's more, you're going to have to make some roster changes because the roster is not well built. They're struggling there to get production outside of James and Davis. They're there every night. Everybody else on the roster, they're very much come and go.
There hadn't been any notable injuries, and certainly not to the two big pieces, Anthony Davis and LeBron. But they have missed some games from Hashimura, who I affectionately called last year during our playoff series here, Kareem Abdul-Hashimura, because he looked so good against the Grizzlies.
Yeah, he did play really well in the playoffs last year, but this year, he's been dinged up. He hasn't had the same kind of run. He caught some magic there in the playoffs and played pretty well, but it's been a struggle for him. D'Angelo Russell hasn't been very good. Austin Reeves hasn't been the same guy. And then the guys they signed over the offseason, Gabe Vincent has missed a ton of time, but Gabe Vincent's a backup point guard. It's funny. You guys know right there in Memphis, nobody wants to hear it about your injury. Like, hit the road with that. You've got James and Davis. You should be winning more games than, sitting at 500.
Yeah, every time we get a release from the team, it looks like, just the worst-case medical report you can imagine. Keith, this is something I can't prove, but I felt it a little in those games last summer at the World Cup. Do you think Austin Reeves may have had some confidence rattled with everybody blowing by him like a scarecrow at that?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of that, and I think now he's no longer any kind of surprise to anybody. Everybody knows he can play, so he gets guys go at him, especially on defense. Or when he's on defense, teams are content to go right at him. Boston did it on Christmas Day. They went right at him, started hunting him out, and it was funny because the Lakers were trying to switch, but then the Celtics said, okay, cool, you picked up Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday, do it. Derek White, you go at him. All right, now you switched on to a big Al Horford. You can take him for a couple plays. That's what teams are doing. They're basically saying that whoever he's guarding, that's the guy we're going to go to. The other piece of it is on the other end of the floor, he's not catching anybody off guard anymore. Everybody knows he can play on offense. So now defenders, they stay a little closer to him. It's just been a little bit harder, but he's going to have to adjust and figure it out, or he's going to have to settle into a spot where guys help him a little bit more. And right now, the Lakers just don't have the guys to help him out.
Yeah. Keith, I saw earlier today that the NBA denied the $7.8 million disabled player exemption to the Knicks for the loss of Mitchell Robinson, and they've really been having a lot of injuries in their front court with him and Jericho Sims, and really Isaiah Hartenstein has really had to step up and give the Knicks some big minutes over the last couple of months, and he'll be a free agent after this season. How vital has he been for this Knicks, the Knicks have been playing very well lately? How big has he been, and with him being a free agent this offseason, and a lot of teams need a center like him, what does this mean for his future, this kind of role that he's had to step into with the Knicks?
Yeah, he has been awesome for them, and there's been a thought kind of for a couple years now, even go back to when he was with the Clippers, that Isaiah Hartenstein's a top tier, one of the top 2-3 backup centers, and probably could be an okay starting center. And now what he's shown is, hey, I can start. Like, I can be there. And what that may mean is instead of the Knicks getting him back on, a kind of a sweetheart kind of deal where it's like, all right, hey, we're going to give you $15-16 million and we'll take care of you or something like that. On the back end, we may see a team come right out and say, no, we're going to give you $25 million right off the jump and just plug you in, because that's just where we're headed. It's, I know $25 million sounds like a huge number, but it's nowhere close to a max contract anymore. That's that's well below max, and that's that's what you pay good starters in this league now. So I think we're in a spot where, the Knicks are probably going to do what they can to try to retain him, and then we'll go from there, with that. But, yeah, it's a tricky spot because Mitchell Robinson, the league did the right thing denying it. The Knicks did the right thing by asking for the disabled player exception. But what we're going to see now is Hartenstein holds it down, Achua, does what he does, and then maybe Mitchell Robinson can get back for a playoff run. And then all of a sudden, if you're the Knicks, you're like, man, we're deep in a lot of options here at the 5.
Keith, I'm very sorry we haven't asked you about this, about your beloved ancestral home with your New England Patriots. How did you take today? Have you taken the news? Have you taken the going in different directions of the New England Patriots and Bill Belichick?
Yeah, it's one of those things where you kind of knew what was coming, whether it was this year or somewhere soon. Like it felt like it had been headed in that direction for a while. And for me, I am forever going to appreciate everything they did. I grew up with most years, other than they had a couple really kind of out of nowhere seasons where they made runs to the Super Bowl. But other than that, they were like the leading joke on the nightly news every fall because it was just an easy way to get a laugh. It was, the Patriots lost again, and here's some funny thing they did because they were terrible. So the 20-year run that they had with Belichick and Brady, it was as special as it was unexpected. And personally, that's been a big connection for me to home, has been that team. I talk to my dad every Sunday at halftime of the game and then after the game, and we do our own little breakdown. They've been a little shorter and a little less excited about it the last couple of seasons, but it's how we connect every day, and in a lot of ways it makes me appreciate that part of it too, that because they became what they became, and a big part of that because of Coach Belichick is that allowed me to really build that connection with my dad as I moved away from home and lived here in Florida and lived in California for a while and some other places too. It's been a way that we've always had that, so that's something I'll always be there. Now we're just going to do it talking and complaining about some other coach that we could do the job better.
That's right. That's how it goes in New England with the Patriots. But Keith, thanks so much for joining us. Fun as always, and we'll do it again next week.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Thanks,
Thank you, Keith. Thank you so much. I knew Keith wanted to visit about his Patriots, and they took him on a lot of good ride. And we get to big number of the day. It's some stunning numbers.
Yeah.
Of those 9 Super Bowls appearances by Belichick, 8 of them you could put those 8, except for the 13-3 win over the Rams down at Mercedes-Benz in Atlanta. Those other 8, if you started there with the top 8 Super Bowls and just started with those, you'd be close enough.
It's incredible.
I mean, there have been a lot of great Super Bowls, but those 8 were phenomenal. At the commissary, you can get the Memphis-style barbecue that we've come to. You get Memphis barbecue, the Memphis way, the Memphis style, the slow-cooked way, at either location at the Collierville Commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar, or the original in Germantown. Since 1981, you can get that great food. And if you're craving an easier way to order, you can text commissary right now to 33733. Start that barbecue feast with appetizers. Go slow. Be patient. Have the smoked chicken wings, then try the tamales, the cheese plate, the barbecue nachos that are a staple of every watch party and every sporting event you can think of now. That's where they were invented. That's where it was created in the early 80s by Walker Taylor and his team. Dig into the ribs of the shoulder, chopped or pulled, on a plate, on a sandwich, all the sides, deviled eggs, slaw, beans, and you can order it by the pound or a 6-pack or an 8-pack or a 12-pack. And the desserts like the strawberry cake, the lemon icebox pie, the banana pudding, and with this cold weather coming through, the Brunswick stew. Get plenty to go to that warm food to keep you warm during these cold days ahead. 901-754-5540 or online at commissarybbq.com in Collierville and Germantown, the party areas, the orders to go, tailgating. One of these days we'll get back out on the patio at the commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar. But either location, for all the Memphis barbecue that you want, they've got it. 901-754-5540 or online at commissarybbq.com.
Well, we're live at Sissy's Log Cabin for their official grand opening for their new standalone location at 4542 Poplar Avenue, right here inside the Laurelwood Shopping Center. You can't miss it. You're driving down Poplar. You'll be able to see this new beautiful building. So make sure you get over here. We'll be here till 6 o'clock, but this location open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. You're going to want to make sure you stop by here and check out everything they've got over here. But we need to get to a break, and it's been a very busy last 24 hours. So it was about this time yesterday when the world learned that Nick Saban would be retiring from Alabama. So when we come back, we're going to talk about really everything that's happened over the last 24 hours, what we're hearing about Alabama in terms of who their next head coach could be. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets, with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli, with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now, and the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Get the home field advantage every time with Fairfield by Marriott, the official hotel of the NCAA. Whether you're a student athlete working towards your championship dreams or your team's biggest fan, Fairfield by Marriott has everything you need to get ready for game day, from comfortable guest rooms to a complimentary hot breakfast. Visit fairfield.marriott.com to book your next game day stay. Fairfield by Marriott, part of the Marriott Bonvoy portfolio of hotels, an official hotel of the NCAA.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. A couple of wrecks out here the last few minutes. Outbound Sam Cooper's on the increase as you head back towards the interstate. 240 also a little bit busier than it was a few minutes ago on 240 east from Mill Branch all the way out to 385 Mill Morris Parkway. A 24/7 reliable crane and rigging services right here in the Memphis area. It's got to be Tomahawk Crane and Rigging. They're online at tomahawkcrane.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you. We're live here at Sissy's Log Cabin, their new standalone location at 4542 Poplar Avenue, right here inside the Laurelwood Shopping Center. We're here till 6 o'clock. Make sure you stop by. I know a lot of people getting ready to be off work for the afternoon, so stop by, say hello. We're going to be giving away Tiger tickets for next week's game against USF, so make sure you come register for those, and we'll be drawing later in the show, and you'll get those.
Competitive game.
Brett, it could be. I mean,
they're a little better than I thought
they are, and Brett, at this point, the way conference play started out, I think every game's going to be a little competitive.
And I don't have I still think this is a bad conference.
Yeah.
I still think there are two driving forces in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm now open to, okay, could this possibly be three teams? Memphis, FAU, SMU. Tulane. A lot of uhs there.
Tulane, I mean, they've got a big one tonight. They've got FAU at home tonight. I don't see UAB. I really can't see more than two in this conference right now. Even with how some of these teams have been competitive, unless they win, I don't see an at-large coming anywhere else other than Memphis and FAU. But with that being said, Tulane, they've got FAU tonight at home. That could be a very big game, a huge one, and especially what kind of FAU's kind of the same track as what Memphis has been doing. A very good team, has beat some really quality. They were just coming off a win against Arizona in Las Vegas, and then kind of struggled against East Carolina. Were able to put them away late. Then lose at Charlotte. Now you've got Tulane. I mean, we know what that coaching staff at Tulane can do,
especially there.
Yeah, so I mean that's going to be a big one. And I think that one's on ESPN2 tonight. It's on somewhere. Let's see. Yeah, ESPN2 tonight. So that's going to be a big one that a lot of people should be keeping up with.
24 hours ago was the breaking news of Nick Saban retiring at Alabama. And far and wide, it was reported that Greg Barnes said we'll have a coach in 72 hours. Cue the 24 sounder from Jack Bauer. Clock's ticking, isn't it?
It sure is. I mean,
24 down, 48 to go.
That's right, and it's getting it's getting close. And I know you were saying yesterday that you were hearing from people that was the case, and then it became more confirmed on social media that that's what they were looking to do. But now and I really do think, Brett, they all thought Dan Lanning's our guy. We're going to go out. We're going to, Dan Lanning's going to want to come here, and this is going to be over like that, and it didn't work out.
It's such a minefield for the modern AD out there, in that we either think we know or we really know everybody's business out there in sports.
That's right.
I've jokingly said you could change these names for everybody. If you want to find out everything going on in the Alabama world, go to Auburn Twitter.
Right.
If you want to know everything in the Auburn world, go to Bama Twitter. Same thing in the Egg Bowl world. Same thing in Texas and Texas A&M. That's a lot of places. Don't get offended by it, and I take no offense in it. But I do think it came as a little bit of a shocker that Dan Lanning quickly turned it down. Now, that was better than playing them a couple of days, and they may have told him, this is not something to sleep on.
Right.
You want our job or not?
You either take it now or we're moving
and
on.
His buyout is extremely large, $20 million. That's a lot of money. If Bama wanted him that bad, that's no problem.
Yeah, no, they would have done it if they really wanted him that bad. But now where do they go? I know, and Brett, I think it's so funny, and we've talked about this before. One of my favorite things is the flight tracking, because I think it's the most ridiculous thing in terms of social media when it comes to college football.
That's really what I want to do with my life. I want to be flight tracker guy or rules guy watching a PGA tournament and call in and Rule 31-C subsection X. The ball moved.
Yeah, but someone right now is sitting at home watching the Sony Open and making sure that nobody's breaking the rules.
Here's my question: Well, who do you call?
I don't know. But
PGA Tour office, Ponte Vedra. Give me the rules guy.
Hey, y'all got to go out there and whoa, you're right.
Subsection of the codicil X.
That's right. But no, and you would think, especially this, because that's what we got last night.
That's the person that tattletaled in
that's right.
kindergarten.
Yeah, in elementary school for sure. But Brett, yesterday from 5 o'clock to midnight last night, I saw all the pictures on social media of, okay, look, this plane from Eugene, and yesterday it was great because we had a flight going from Eugene or somewhere in Oregon around Eugene to Tuscaloosa, and then also it was being reported that Oregon was supposed to be having a players meeting the following day and that it had been pushed back 2 hours, and people were saying, well, look, this plane's going back up there, and that would, when it's supposed to land, that would time out for the 2 hour, and that makes sense. This is it. Well, now, Brett, we're doing more flight tracking today because there has now been seen a flight that's going direct trip from Seattle to Tuscaloosa, and so of course people are saying that is a flight with DeBoer going down to interview for the Alabama job.
Well, it could be. Kalen DeBoer certainly has impressed a lot of people in the short stint at Washington. I'm seeing kind of the theater of the absurd, though, and some other names out there, including Tommy Rees, being elevated from offensive coordinator to head coach. The defensive coordinator, help me with his first name, is it Glenn Schumann?
Glenn Schumann.
At Georgia. That's very surprising. Mm-hmm. But the real stunner is Mike Loxley from Maryland.
Yeah.
I know liked on that staff. Went through the kind of Saban coaching rehabilitation division there and came out the other side after an abominable job. Mm-hmm. Such a poor job turned in when he was at UVA, and now he's doing pretty well at Maryland in the Big Ten and did okay this year with Taulia Tagovailoa. But that would be a shocker. He would be on real short notice if he's there. A very interesting set of dominoes that could fall is if it's Mike Norvell.
Yeah, that would be wow.
Florida State would almost have to hire Deion Sanders.
They would. Wow, that would be wild, Brett.
And it would be fair to ask, other than we think he's going to be good, we know he was great.
Mm-hmm.
We know he's Florida State Seminole through and through.
Yep.
But what has he won at the FBS level as a head coach to merit being the Florida State football coach?
Right.
May not have to have much more than he has.
Honestly, I don't think you do. I think you can sell Deion to Florida State.
Easily.
Very easily. But Brett, back to
and he said today that in this year 2024, he's going to be unbridled. He's going to speak his mind.
Okay.
Have we had the taciturn Deion through the years?
I didn't know we had the soft-spoken Deion.
Have we had the low-key Deion through all these years?
Interesting.
I never knew we had the shy, aloof Deion.
Well, I'm really excited for 2024. If that was, not speaking his mind, I'm really excited.
If we were getting the B version, now he's really going to go all guns blaring. Okay.
Well, Brett, back to Tommy Rees, and I understand this offense looked much better as the season went on and was pretty good late in the season. But, Brett, this was not a popular hired offensive coordinator when it was made. And midway through the season, Brett, people wanted him fired.
When it got awkward this time last year, and I think in the coaching fraternity circles, a lot of people passed on the Bama offensive coordinator job this time last year, fearing that what has been happening the last 24 hours would be happening. And certainly nothing to feel sorry about, but they're humans too.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, last year Tommy Rees gets the job. Probably if he has children, I don't even know if he does. Children, family stays back in South Bend, completing the school year.
Mm-hmm.
You don't move them out. In late January.
Right.
He finally gets them down there May, June, probably already been house shopping. They find the house, and now the for sale sign goes out there now.
Yeah.
I think that's why a lot of people passed this time last year, and also why I think Nick Saban had to turn to trusted old friend, old hand for the defensive side in Kevin Steele that's moved more than moving companies have moved.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, and you look around social media and who's the favorite now, who it is. You'll see different names. I mean, I've seen DeBoer, I've seen Norvell. I don't think anybody, after kind of going back to what we've been saying, we've been coming back to it really all day. I don't think anybody saw us sitting here saying, well, it's not Dan Lanning, now who?
Brian, for you, all joking aside, when we talk about Johnny, I want your thoughts. Y'all are both proud University of Memphis graduates, and you bring that broadcast journalism department that I know is really good through all the years of people that I've worked with. Y'all bring, they should feel a lot of pride for what they have produced in y'all and what I know in other people they produced in. As loyal Tigers, how do you feel about either Dan Lanning's name being mentioned or Mike Norvell's being mentioned? Is that a source of pride, or is it just all the football business? Brian, take a swing at it.
I mean, I think it should be a source of pride. I mean, I think when you look, and I think certainly probably more Mike Norvell than Dan Lanning, because he was the head coach at Memphis, and Lanning was a coordinator, a position coach. Yeah, but I think it's huge, and I think you look really around the country now, and just the coaches that have come from the University of Memphis or have spent time at the University of Memphis. I mean, you can look at 4 or 5 different programs.
Well, it's produced.
It really has, that have those head coaching ties to Memphis, and I think that should be a source of pride.
How do you feel, John?
I feel like Brian said, it's a source of pride. Especially, I think that'd be a great fit that Mike Norvell do go there. Just knowing him as a person, like his character and everything, he brings an energy, man, and I feel like he will just fit in Tuscaloosa.
Well, here's the thing, Brett and Johnny. Mike Norvell was very open to wanting to set up Memphis and Florida State.
Game. Yeah.
I mean, if the move happens, do we see Bama Memphis? They sure have. So, I mean, I don't know. But, I think I love Mike Norvell. I
sat out in the rain, and I think Jay Barker's first college start at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium.
Good Lord.
Late in the 91 season. I think it was his first or second college start.
But, Mike Norvell has done a really good job. And for Mike Norvell, he does it he has done it kind of a different way when he started at Florida State. It took a couple of years to get there. Now, obviously, Alabama's at a different spot than Florida State was at.
Running.
Yes. It'd be interesting if he was named the head coach, but I would certainly be in favor of that hire. We'll have to see what happens. Like we've been saying, they want to make a move fast. They want to have something done by the end of the weekend, so we'll see if that happens and just how fast they will move. But let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
What's wrong? You look bereft.
I am bereft.
What is it?
Well, there's only 3 Central Barbecue locations. The original Central Barbecue on Central, it's closed.
Oh, don't worry, little buckaroo. The location on Central will be back before you know it and better than ever. Now, there's still the location on Summer. You love that one, right?
Yeah.
And there's still the Central Barbecue downtown and the Central Barbecue on Poplar. You love those too, right?
I do love those.
So you could go to those, and then when Central Barbecue on Central reopens, it'll be like Christmas, but with pork.
I feel better already.
Roofs, and more roofs. Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair simply because they don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance claims for policyholders each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. Call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates, consultation, and claim repairs. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, diagnosing problems, and estimating is second to none, commercial and residential. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. All you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and Mulehide with labor warranties up to 50 years on all of our jobs. Metro Builders provides roof repairs across the Mid-South. Call Metro Builders to schedule your inspection free. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717. 1717.
Case IH is a proud supporter of the Mississippi Farm Bureau, and thanks to a membership benefits partnership, Mississippi Farm Bureau members receive a discount of up to $500 on every qualifying Case IH tractor and piece of equipment you purchase. This discount may be used with other promotions, rebates, or offers. So join Mid-South Ag Equipment and the Mississippi Farm Bureau and pocket up to $500 in savings. Call Mid-South Ag at 662-890-3141 to get your discount today.
Welcome to Triumph Auto Sales, where you'll have a great car buying experience. Triumph Auto Sales is your #1 source of quality pre-owned vehicles ranging from lease returns to new car trades, all at huge savings. Plus, Triumph has a full array of financing options to meet your needs. Find your next car online at triumphautosales.com or stop in today at 4875 Elmore Road. Triumph Auto Sales will help you get the vehicle you want at the price you need and the service you deserve. For a great car and a great experience from a local and family-owned business, visit Triumph Auto Sales.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Big Daddy. Hello, Big Brand.
It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy. You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, Brett, I have 4 big numbers today, and all of them include the number 4. How about that? So I'm gonna roll through them.
I've got one, and it's 44.
Is it really? Oh, Brett, we might have the same big number.
No way. There's no way.
I think we do.
No.
Okay. Don't look at my sheet.
There's no way.
All right, my first big number. It's a Nick Saban big number. 44 is my big number. Under Nick Saban, Alabama has more players drafted in the first round. 44.
I was really close to that, but it is not mine.
They have more players. Wow, I'm surprised. They have more players drafted in the first round. 44 players have been drafted in the first round from Alabama under Nick Saban. Then it has losses under Nick Saban. 29.
I sure didn't have that. Wow.
That is incredible. My second big number. I'm sorry, Johnny.
That's mine.
Hey, man, I just in all of that number right there, bro.
Well, just wait. We have 3 more numbers, so don't get ahead of yourself.
I was trying to sway the jury during the break, wasn't I, Brian?
You were. My second big number, number 4. During Nick Saban's 17 years at Alabama, if you played for 4 years at the University of Alabama, you were guaranteed to win at least one national championship. Every single player that played 4 seasons under Nick Saban won at least one national championship. That is incredible to think.
It really is.
That's unbelievable. Okay. My third big number, and we're getting away from Nick Saban now, 4 again.
See, I think I'm losing today in the totality.
I've got a lot of big numbers. I mean, there was so much good stuff coming out. 4 is my third big number. It's the first time ever that 4 of the top 5 teams in college basketball have lost to unranked teams in a span of 2 days. We've seen some craziness over the last 48 hours. We really could. And then my final big number, 40. I really just threw this in. I heard it this afternoon. I had to bring it up because it's just a great number. Brett, you know how much I love Iowa football. It's a different style of football, one that is not appreciated enough. Since 2020, my final big number, 40. Since 2020, Caitlin Clark, the unbelievable women's basketball player for the University of Iowa, Caitlin Clark has 10 40-point games since 2020. That is unbelievable, Brett. Iowa football? Only 4 40-point games since 2020. How about that?
Oh, great numbers, man. You're on fire today. You're on fire.
I don't know if I can beat that, but I'm sure going to try. Here's mine. My big number is 44.
Okay.
That's the number of points that Bill Belichick has won and lost 9 Super Bowls by.
My goodness.
He's won 6 by a total of 29 points. He's lost 3 by a total of 15 points. So about a 5-point average in all the wins and all the losses, and it goes to show just how narrow it all is. He could be 9-0. The only one he lost badly was the Philly play. Mm-hmm. He lost 41-33 in that one. I was at that one. Not a single defensive play was made all day until the late sack on Brady. That's the biggest blowout. Mm-hmm. His biggest win was by 10 over the Rams, 13-3 over Jared Goff and Sean McVay. down in Atlanta, and that's the only ho-hum of the 9 Super Bowls. Think of these Super Bowls. The first one, when they were America's darling, coming off of 9/11 down at the Superdome, U2 at halftime, and the big video of showing all the names that had perished at the World Trade Center. That was just a wild win, 20-17. The Janet Jackson game, they win by 3. The T.O. performance beating the Eagles by 3. Okay. If the Eagles win, T.O. may have should have been MVP in defeat that day. The goal line play, I was at that game in Phoenix when they beat the Seahawks by 4. The overtime game in Houston, I was at that game, the only overtime in Super Bowl history, when they beat the Falcons by 6. I was at 3 of the Patriots Super Bowls.
That's incredible.
Of his 9. 2 wins, Seahawks, Atlanta, and the 1 loss against the Eagles in Minneapolis.
Wow, that's incredible. Brett, you mentioned U2. How much U2 do you have on your iTunes? Do you really? A big U2 guy.
Yeah. And one of my favorite nights of my life, non-sports, they played here summer of 98, 99 or so, and the late, great George Klein got me the invitation out to Graceland after the concert that they showed and played. And they did 3 songs. They did Desire, In the Name of Love, and Mysterious Ways out there that night. Just one of the great nights ever.
Wow. The only U2 I've ever had on my phone, I don't know if you remember this. Johnny might remember this, but when I was in high school, U2 put out an album.
They would put them on your iTunes.
It was in collaboration with Apple, and so it was automatically on everybody's iPhone.
I didn't want those.
I didn't either. And the problem,
I remember that one on my phone.
Brett, the problem with it was, the biggest problem, at least between me and all of my friends, is whatever, one of the songs on the albums, I don't remember if it started with an A or if it started with a number, but whatever it was, it became the first song on your song list. And so if your phone connected through Bluetooth to your car,
it would blast.
Back in that day, it would just start the first song that was on your songs list, and it would always be that song. And so you'd get in someone's car and you'd be like, "Oh, you're a big U2 guy," and they go, "No, it's just the song that
turned
plays."
a lot of people off.
It did. I
think it really backfired.
I wasn't familiar with U2 before then, and then when that happened, I was like, I'm not U2 anymore.
A real quick, great U2 story. So in '92, on the Mysterious Ways tour, they were playing in Dallas at Texas Stadium on a Friday night, and at that time, Little Rock had what was it? Was it Southwest? I think it was Southwest. I mean, literally had like a $25 round trip ticket. It was 1992, and $25. No, it wasn't much money then. and I rode to Little Rock with a friend of mine, and flew to Dallas. Went to the concert on Friday night. Flew back on Saturday to Dallas, and then that night went to see Ole Miss in Arkansas at War Memorial. Ole Miss shut out the Razorbacks 17-0, and rode home on the St. Francis County Razorback Club bus. And remember, 92 was before I quit drinking in 93.
Brett, 92 was
I was moving
time.
in mysterious ways that weekend.
Yes, you were. Brett, speaking of Arkansas, we haven't mentioned it. Arkansas, another loss for their basketball team last night, and really, really struggling.
They are.
Since the Tigers have played them.
They have no offensive identity. And at this point in the year, it's time to start finding that everybody get the hell out of the way and clear out and let this guy work. And I just don't think Arkansas's got that guy.
No, they don't. And
if you hadn't found him by now, I don't know if you're going to find him.
Yeah, and last night on the road against Georgia, 76-66 loss. And now, I mean, that is the first 2 games of SEC play have both been double-digit losses. And now they've got Florida, a good Florida team that I was really impressed with what Ole Miss did against Florida last night. But they go on the road to Florida before seeing Texas A&M.
No, it was in Oxford.
No, I'm saying for Arkansas, they go on the road to Florida. Ole Miss was at home last night, and I was extremely impressed with that performance from the Rebels. But we need to go ahead and wrap up this hour and get to a break. Let me remind everybody, we're at Sissy's Log Cabin, 4542 Poplar Avenue in the Laurelwood Shopping Center for their official grand opening. Still time to stop by. Maybe you're getting off work here at 5 o'clock. Stop by, say hello, and check out everything they've got going on here at Sissy's Log Cabin, a beautiful collection with a ton of great lines, Rolex, Cartier, Facets of Fire. I mean, they've got some great things over here at Sissy's Log Cabin, so make sure you stop by. But let's get to a break, and when we come back, we're talking Tigers with Greg Gaston.
Moving is stressful. The worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, your personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to design a plan that perfectly fits your budget and needs. And they're available 24/7 to answer any questions you have. Give Black Tie Moving a call at 901-316-6196 or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis to get your personal, no obligation quote from the moving experts at Black Tie Moving.
I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 120 years. You know, I'm talking about Dinstall's, and it's time to stock up heavy on Cashew Crunch, Heavenly Crunch, Turtlettes, all of your favorite Dinstall's treats to watch the playoff games and to watch all the basketball. It's so easy to get. The sweetest thing in Memphis, all you have to do is head to Laurelwood or head to Germantown and Poplar right across from the hospital, or go where they make the candies. That's on Pleasant View. There's nothing that says Memphis better than Cashew Crunch with that little tinge of coconut, or the Turtlettes. Let's face it, there's nothing better than Dinstall's chocolate. That's the mainstay of all candies, isn't it? Milk, chocolate, although their dark chocolate is pretty darn good. And if you get the peppermint with the dark chocolate and put it in the freezer, you're going to love it. So many ways to love Dinstall's. 115 years of making Memphis oh so sweet. We all appreciate luxury. We love the newest technology. We want something that sparkles and looks great. Well, I've got it all in one place. It's called Genesis of Olive Branch, right at the corner of Highway 78. That's Lamar. And the first exit in Mississippi, that's Craft Road. Turn left and you will see Genesis of Olive Branch. And right now, you can get the 2024 Genesis GV70 starting at $49,480 with special financing as low as 3.49% on select models. How about the 2024 Genesis GV80? A little bit bigger, starting at $55,995, financing as low as 5.49% with a $2,000 rebate when trading a luxury brand. Call them. They'll even bring you a Genesis at your work or your home for a test drive. They're convinced that when you drive a Genesis, you're going to want one. Call 662-890-6684. Ask for Vinny. Genesis of Olive Branch.
You've heard of James Gaddis Jewelers, but have you heard what they've done lately? Everything! A tremendous selection of diamonds and jewels, gold, silver, and much more. Lots of watches, tons of custom-made jewelry, fine gemstones, bracelets, necklaces, so many choices. Romantics will love the one-of-a-kind estate and vintage jewelry. James Gaddis has experts to help you with wedding and engagement rings, plus 2 repair experts for fine watches and jewelry. Layaway and financing available. James Gaddis Jewelers at 4900 Poplar.
Sports 56 traffic.
A bit of traffic going outbound on Sam Cooper as you pass Perkins headed towards the interstate. Once you get on I-40, that's a clear shot right now, eastbound I-40 all the way out into Fayette County. A little bit of radar out there earlier, just past 269, going eastbound on I-40. Weimer's Jewelry, located 7525 Highway 64, is your Valentine's Day headquarters. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
From the Tigers sideline, it's Tigers Talk with Memphis broadcasting legend Greg Gaston. Hear Greg weekday mornings on Sports 56 Mornings, along with Eli Savoy from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. On Twitter X at Greg_Gaston. Here's Greg with Bryant and Brett.
Greg Gaston joins us now like he does every single Thursday afternoon to talk Tigers, and coming off a win last night for the Tiger basketball team over UTSA. Another scare for Tiger fans as this one goes to overtime, but the Tigers get the win. Greg, I know you were on the call last night on ESPN+. What were your biggest takeaways from that win for the Tigers last night?
Well, they continue to do the same thing, so I guess the takeaway would be that for anybody to expect any blowouts, and maybe one or two will come, I would imagine that most of the games they're going to play in are going to be close, no matter who they're playing. They proved it when they stepped up against some of the better teams on their schedule and played them incredibly well and won most of those games. Then when they stepped down a little bit in competition, taking nothing away from the Tulsas and the UTSAs of the world, they stepped down and played to the level of that competition. And Penny's even admitted that they have done that. So I would say that be ready for a lot of these games coming up in conference play. And a 19.5-point spread last night going into the game, Vegas doesn't usually get it wrong, but I looked at that and said, no, there's just no chance. But I did not expect it to go to overtime. So it's another close game, but Memphis figures out a way to win seemingly every single time. But you figure if you play enough times with fire, you're going to get burned eventually.
That's for sure, Greg. And one thing I do think we're now starting to learn is, I heard a little bit out of the Villanova game of, just how hot they were. And a little bit of, Matthew Morrell can't wait to play the Tigers, and he was hot because of that. No, everybody's hot against the Tigers.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a big challenge for these teams in the conference. So they look at Memphis on the schedule. They get geared up for playing Memphis. And here's the thing, too, Brett, and you know this, and Bryant knows this. Everybody knows this. In this day and age now with the portal and with NIL money, especially in the game of basketball, all it takes is a player or two to change your fortune. So I think there's a lot more competitive teams. I think people were fixated with the number next to the net with UTSA, and actually I think they're a little bit better than people believe. They were picked to finish dead last in a 14-team conference. I will be shocked if they're even close to 14th. I think they're a decent team. But again, Memphis shouldn't be toying around with these teams. They should be winning. They got better talent. They got a deeper team. But yes, these teams get sky high for playing Memphis, and it's a challenge every single time they step out on the court.
Greg, I have an uncanny knack of when I miss badly. I miss almost historically. And there was a time I was one of those Flat Earth Society people saying no 16 will ever beat a 1. Well, it's happened twice now. I think that's very wrong when you say it's never going to happen. It's happened twice. With all this portal stuff, you make a great point about that one player, that two players. I don't know if we're going to see 16 over 1 every year, but we're going to see a jumbled NCAA tournament every year.
Yeah, I fell into that same deal, Brett. Never going to happen, right? We use the word never a lot in sports. We'll never see another coach, right? We'll never see another coach to lead his team to 9 Super Bowls and 6 Super Bowl wins. Who knows? I don't think we will. But as far as, the 16 over the 1, my gosh, I never thought I'd see that in my lifetime. I really did not. But it's not like I'm saying 16 and 1 are that close, but they're close enough now where if you're off and you're having a bad shooting night, and God forbid you have an injury or somebody's sick and he can't go, and all of a sudden you're playing a team that's just so into this performance that they are playing out of their minds. Guys are playing well beyond what they normally do. There's always the chance for the big upset. And we're talking 16-1. So, obviously, in a conference game on a Wednesday night,
that's right,
at the beginning of season of conference play, you can see those type of upsets. And it almost happened to Memphis last night.
That's right. And, Greg, I had to double down on my stupidity, and I even went so far to say there would be a successful mission to and return from Mars before there would be a 16 over a 1. We ain't been to Mars yet.
No.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Really did. Greg, looking at that game last night and watching it, it wasn't as much a lack of offense from Memphis. I mean, they shoot over 50% from the field. They make 11 3-pointers last night. It was really defensively, and we knew going into it UTSA was going to take a lot of threes. They made a ton of threes last night, but there were also a lot of wide-open attempts from them behind the arc, a lot of dribble penetration, kick it out, corner three, guys just sitting wide open. When you look at Penny Hardaway's team this year defensively, an area that Penny really stresses, do you think it's up to his standards so far through the season?
It's not, and your assessment is spot on, because last night, you're absolutely right. You go back, look at the stats. If you watch the game, if you were there or watched it on Plus, there's no question that offensively, I mean, they scored over 100 points. Granted, it was against a bad defense, and granted, it went to overtime. But this problem that this team has with these close shaves is not, it doesn't have anything to do with their offense. They got the clutch genes. They know how to make the shots in the end. This is all defense. And remember, Penny Hardaway, his signature is on the defense. When he came and took this job at Memphis, when he came over from East High School, it was all about defense. And we've seen this team over the years under Penny Hardaway play incredibly well defensively. He is frustrated. I can tell you guys firsthand, talking to him before the game, doing the interview right before halftime or at a halftime, I could see it in his face. I could see he's almost tired from probably and exhausted from just hammering this home to his players. The problem has been, and you saw it last night, rear its ugly head, perimeter defense and rebounding. Now, rebounding last night was good. Rebounding was good in the second half against SMU. It has been a problem giving up second and third chances, opportunities for these other teams to score on one possession, get a second chance, a third chance. But last night, it was all about guarding the perimeter. 17 threes. That's a team, as you said, Brian, that shoots a ton of threes. They make an average of 10 threes per game. So there's no question this team comes into the game. Obviously, they already went over the game plan. They did a lot of film work. They knew exactly what this team was all about, but they weren't able to execute it. Why weren't they able to execute it? There were problems, once again, with communication and guys getting stuck on screens. And you're right, the passing from UTSA was tremendous. They would drive, they would kick, and they would kick it around the horn to get the open guy. That is all on Memphis. And Memphis, and after the game, I heard Penny Hardaway on with Dave Woloshin in the postgame on the radio saying that is a problem because we do too much help defense. So guys will leave their guys to go over and help. When they see a guy penetrating, let me get over here and help because this guy's going to get to the rim, and then they kick it, and they've left their guy open, and that guy can shoot the three. And they made 17, and luckily it wasn't more because they had open three after open three after open three. Nothing was contested. So Penny last night said, and I'm 100% that he said this. I wasn't in his post games, so I didn't know if he repeated this. But with Dave Woloshin, he said that we're going back to man-to-man strictly. Our guy has to guard their guy. We're not going to be worried with help defense. It's going to be mano-a-mano. And if we got a guy that's not doing his job, somebody else will come in. So instead, we're going to use our athletes. We think we can beat you with man-to-man defense without having to help. We're going to go to that. So I'll be curious to see, starting Sunday at Wichita State, if that's what he does, because he is running out of answers to try to figure out what this problem is.
Greg, I respect coaches that have their style, have their system. John Calipari famously kind of mixed metaphors when he would say, I'm not playing one down of zone defense. Do you think some zone needs to be incorporated?
Well, they did. They played some zone last night. They're playing a lot more zone than he did earlier in his tenure at Memphis. So we have seen him relent because most coaches like to play man-to-man. They probably will, Brett, but I want to see, first of all, strictly man-to-man, like he said, without help. Now it's just it's about you and your guy. Are you going to be better than your guy? Your guy on offense, you on defense, are you going to be better than that player? Let's see what transpires as far as that is concerned. Now, again, guys could be out of position for rebounding, but that's already been a problem. Although, again, last night it was not a problem. So I want to see that. But, yes, I have no issues in incorporating a little bit more zone during a 40-minute, or in last night's case, a 45-minute game, right? Do what it takes to play better defensively, because that's the only reason why that game was like it was, because they did not do a good job. In fact, they did a horrible job guarding the perimeter.
I fundamentally would defend coaches on, you're not playing enough zone, or in football, you need to go to 5 wideouts more. No, we haven't practiced that. There's just so much time, especially after you get into the season. You can't go out there and all of a sudden start playing a box and one.
Right. I mean, you implement a lot of defenses early in practice when you start right before the season. Once you get into the season, you're used to playing a specific kind of defense. So it's hard to just turn it off and then go strictly another direction. But they've seen all kinds of things in practices. They've worked with all kinds of zones. They worked with all kinds of presses and things of that nature. It's now being able to execute what they have learned. But again, this is going to be basically the athletes of Memphis going up against everybody else and seeing if they can win their one-on-one battle.
Yeah, well, I noticed Coach Hardaway kind of brought in some of the guys that we don't see very often, specifically Carl Sharonfont and Jonathan Pierre in that first half, kind of right before halftime. And Carl, the young freshman, a guy that, especially after the Caleb Mills injury, I've heard a lot of people say maybe he gets more minutes. Maybe Penny looks to him to give them a boost off the bench. What did you make of the few minutes Carl was in last night, what he did, got his first collegiate points last night, and do you think we could see a little bit more of Carl coming off the bench?
I don't think that's the direction they need to go in. I like the 8-man rotation. I don't need to see more guys getting in. It didn't surprise me last night because he told me that was a good possibility, that even in the first half that Pierre and Sharonfont will get some playing time. What did I see? Well, not a lot, but Carl, congratulations, he got his first bucket. It's going to take some time, and right now, when you throw a couple of guys in that haven't played much, I don't think it keeps the continuity, and right. I think that the bench should be shortened as you progress closer to the NCAA tournament. So I think now you hope to God that there's no more defections or injuries, because what was a really, really deep roster is now not as deep. You lose a Jordan Brown, you lose a Caleb Mills. So I don't think this is the time really for these guys to get a lot of playing time. Now, if they have a blowout win, which again doesn't happen, but if they do, then these guys will get some playing time. But I think for right now, you're using Naquan Tomlin off the bench, you're using Jalen Young off the bench, you're using Jaden Hardaway off the bench, and you may sprinkle in Ashton Hardaway once in a while. As long as that guy can step out and play some defense, which has not been the case, then he is worthy of being on the court because of his ability to shoot threes. But that's as deep as you go right now until you have some games that get out of hand in your favor and you get these guys some minutes. He'd like to play these guys, but right now I don't think it's probably the right thing to do. The other thing is, and I mentioned this on the radio show today, I think he has to have either Quinterly or David Jones on the floor always.
Got to.
Always. Right? Instead of stubbing those two guys out, because we saw last night a lineup with Jaquan Walton, the one starter, and then 4 bench guys on the floor. No Quinterly and no David Jones. Those two guys are the main scorers for this team, and I think one of them has to be on the floor. It's like the Grizzlies. Either Jaren Jackson Jr. or Desmond Bain needs to be on the floor at one time, right? They can't have both those guys on the bench, in my opinion, because you lose that scoring punch.
Tigers nets at 50, Wichita State's 132, even with a win. Now on the road, I think it factors in a little more heavily.
It does.
for the visiting team, but it won't be a dramatic leap with that game on Sunday. And like last night, late in the game, and on Sunday, a loss to Wichita State, it could be quite a precipitous fall.
Yeah, for those who are fixated on the net, and I think we all at times are fixated on the net, although we know it's not the end-all, be-all. But when you look at the schedule, other than Florida Atlantic, Memphis, with a win, even on the road, will not be benefited. It will not benefit as well as what you would think they would going on the road and winning in conference play, whereas a loss, especially at home, but even on the road, will be crushing. Yeah, so it's one of those, you win and you're not really helped that much by the win. You lose and Katie bar the door.
Mm-hmm. Greg, we got the news earlier this week that both Mikey Williams and J.J. Taylor would enter the transfer portal. Those were both later confirmed. Jason Munz confirmed it with both of those guys. And really for J.J. Taylor was suspended against Vanderbilt and hadn't been with the team over the last couple of days. Obviously, we know everything that's going on with Mikey. Were you surprised when you saw that news, and what did you make of both of those guys deciding mid-season to enter the portal?
Yeah, I was a little surprised about Mikey, although I knew that J.J. Taylor wasn't back, and I thought maybe something's up with these guys. I never thought that Mikey Williams would play at Memphis, but it's very disappointing because Penny Hardaway, who did say that he would do it again if he had to, he would definitely do it again. His loyalty to some of these players, and I don't know what's going through Mikey's mind to want to open up the chances to go somewhere else, go into the portal. But you feel sort of bad for Penny because he was so loyal, and we kept saying loyal to a fault, loyal to a fault. Well, he was loyal to a fault. He stuck by this guy, and this guy now who hopefully will get his life together and get the opportunity to play ball. More than likely, he's not going to play at Memphis. The guys that waited and were willing to wait for this guy and to take steps into getting him eligible and to be a part of the program. So it's disappointing that Mikey Williams, again, I'm not going to say he left him hanging because we knew that this was a big question mark from the get-go. But Penny, again, going out with his reputation, putting his reputation on the line to support a guy who did what he did, and now the guy turns around and walks away. So, yeah, it's disappointing, but not a real surprise.
Welcome to 2024, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And Penny Hardaway goes out there and really laid it all on the line, as you said, and the loyalty was, I don't think, was close to reciprocated. We're visiting with Greg Gaston on the Tigers. Greg, you mentioned earlier, can't take any more discontent or injuries. As best you can report, is it discontent among this team?
No, I don't think so, but Penny did say a couple of press conferences ago that he was a little concerned about players being a little selfish, and we hadn't heard that until he mentioned that. They seem to have pretty good chemistry. I know these guys like each other an awful lot, but when Penny says it, you listen. And Penny talked about maybe guys were trying to get their points and be more concerned with the offense and individual stats and not the team. But, again, that was a couple of press conferences ago. I don't think that's a real concern. Before the season started, we wondered because there were so many guys coming from programs where they were the studs. But I think we kind of know the pecking order.
And we were assured with every preseason question around chemistry that this was practically the Walton TV show of the 70s with team camaraderie.
The Walton Thanksgiving special. Yeah, they were sitting around the table, kumbaya. But as far as
everything was fine.
But as far as I know, no discord. I don't believe anything that I've heard. Again, when we're talking about players maybe a little frustrated, they want maybe a few more shots or something like that. And that comes with the territory. With again, most of these players, they were the studs where they came from, and you want a little bit for yourself. But I think for the most part, there's pretty good chemistry. And like I said, I think there's a pecking order now. These guys understand that Jones and Quinterly are your main scorers. Now, Walton, a good sign last night to see him make some shots, and that would be huge for Memphis. Jourdain knows where he stands. Dandridge obviously knows where he stands. Tomlin's the interesting one because Tomlin comes in, first couple of games really looked good, especially that second and third game. He's fouled out the last two, and somebody made a point. In fact, it was our buddy John Bartolus who made an interesting point. He said it's not funny, but the fact is the 5 games that he has played for in a Memphis uniform, starting with Vanderbilt, all these 5 games have come down to the wire. They've been close. Now, against Austin Peay, they ended up opening it up at the end, but they've all been tight. Memphis hasn't played exactly up to snuff. I don't put any blame on Tomlin, don't get me wrong, but it's just a coincidence. So there's that. You never know about players. Oh, here comes another player. He's jumping in mid-season. How is our chemistry going to be? Are we willing to have open arms for this guy to invite him in? I don't know. It doesn't seem like there's an issue right now. but it's interesting that those 5 games have all been pretty tight.
How do you think Sunday in Wichita plays out?
I'm a little concerned. Wichita State has played some pretty good opponents and has played them tough. It's not Wichita State from 10 years ago, but it is a hostile environment. Those fans get into it. And who was it? It was Nicholas Jourdain last night who said to Wolo in the postgame that with no disrespect to Tulsa. No. It was Jaquan Walton, the former Shocker. He said, with no disrespect to Tulsa, I know what it's like at Wichita State with that fan base. And if they get an early lead on Memphis and the fans get into it,
here it goes.
I'm a little concerned about this one on the road. I think Memphis will get it together and win, but I would not be shocked come Monday if I'm talking about an L.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one Sunday afternoon. But, Greg, thanks so much for joining us. We'll do it again next Thursday.
Sounds great, guys. Take care.
Thank you, Greg. Greg Ashton, that you can hear tomorrow morning from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with Eli Savoy right here on these airwaves. And Sunday afternoon in Wichita, it's going to be as cold there, but they're inside. They're not.
That's right.
It's not going to be like the Chiefs.
It's going to be cold. Getting to and from the bus is going to be a little cold.
And when people talk about whether it's in these smaller SEC towns, well, it's all they have to do there. It's all they have to do in Wichita is go to Wichita State basketball.
And they do. I mean, it's always a good environment. I think it's going to be another good one. No, just they got a decent baseball program. Or they used to, at least.
And sure used to.
Yeah. So I mean, basketball is definitely what runs Wichita.
It does. And Sunday afternoon, I had it in the preseason as one of my losses on the way to 24-7 for the Tigers, 15-3 overall. You had it as a win, and Johnny had it as a win going for the Tigers, going 15-3 in conference and 23-8 on the season.
I don't know how confident I am now about that Wichita win.
We'll do Tiger bankroll either. We probably won't get it on the air tomorrow because how they do college basketball lines, but we'll announce it on Monday, and we will be honest. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Jean on the historic square in Collierville since 1961. Charles Hall started working there in his teens, and now with his wife, Laura, what a team they have. They own the place, known for all the boots, but also accessories, clothing, and a cap for any team in any season, and a big old warm coat for this cold blast we're getting ready to have. Work boots, western wear, safety toe or soft toe boots, rubber boots, boots for every occasion at Hewlett & Dunn. From head to toe, they have you covered with every brand imaginable. Dan Post, Anderson Bean, Ariat, whether for men or women. How about one of those great Filson jackets for somebody that you forgot about around the Christmas season, but they're going to need it next week for the cold weather season. Men's and women's clothing, jeans, pants, shirts, shorts, outerwear, and the best Duckhead collection you'll find anywhere. Charles and Laura Hall, they invite you to 111 North Center Street, or go to HewlettDunn.com, but they want you to come by and visit them on the square in Collierville. Boot care products, sunglasses, hats, travel bag selection, it's top-notch, and every area team snapback cool hat you can think of, like for the Tigers, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Tennessee, the Razorbacks. Go to HewlettDunn.com, but preferably please get by and visit and say hello at 111 North Center Street on the square in Collierville at Hewlett & Dunn.
Well, we need to get to a break, but let me remind you we're at Sissy's Log Cabin, 4542 Poplar Avenue in the Laurelwood Shopping Center for their official grand opening. Make sure you stop by. We're here for another 30 minutes, but if you can't stop by today, they are open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. You want to make sure you want to stop by this beautiful new location for Sissy's Log Cabin. But let's get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk about what's trending.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11, here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
The Crazy Coop, America's premier wing destination, has 27 delicious flavors to choose from and counting. Like the Buffalo Ranch, a perfect combo of ranch seasoning with a little kick. Mango Habanero, sweet taste of mango followed by the heat. Or sweet maple bourbon. The taste will remind you of chicken and waffles. And that's just 3 of the amazing 27 chicken wing seasonings that you can get at the Crazy Coop in Bartlett at 7199 Stage Road. And now open the Crazy Coop Express at 1315 Ridgeway off Poplar. Some like it hot. How about the Crazy Sweet Lemon Pepper Hot or Crazy Suicide? Can't take the heat? Get the 4 cheese roasted garlic or barbecue bacon bourbon. Ask about the $9.99 lunch special. Now those are some crazy good prices. The Crazy Coop, 2 locations, $71.99 Highway 64 between Appleton and Kirby Whitten, and 1315 Ridgeway off Poplar. Family owned and operated, The Crazy Coop, America's premier wing destination.
It's a new year, and Family Leisure has a new way to bring family and fun together. All you have to do is walk into Family Leisure and look around. All those floor model patio sets you see, those have got to go, so Family Leisure can make room for all the new sets coming. Get a wicker sofa set for under $2,000. Pool tables under $1,500. Theater seating for under $2,000. Hot tubs for $4,000 or just for yourself. If you really want to lounge, they're under $5,000. Need patio cushions? Get them as low as $25. Oh, have you seen those infrared steam saunas? Well, now they and the traditional saunas are 25% off. It may just be the first few weeks of 2024, but that doesn't mean you can't start getting ready for summer. 2 final things. Purchase your above-ground pool now and get first in line for installation, and take advantage of special financing that's available. Family Leisure, Whitten Road and I-40, bringing the family and the fun back together.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who specialize in saving the day, and for the ones who've mastered the art of keeping business moving. We offer industrial-grade supplies for every industry, with same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders, all backed by real people ready to help. So you can get the right answers and products right when you need them. Call quickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Do you want a greener, more weed-free lawn? If you're like me, you can't stand the sight of dandelions, clover, or especially crabgrass. Hi, I'm Brandon Hawley, president of Lawn Solutions. We are your locally owned and operated weed control and fertilization company. We are also experts in disease and insect control on your lawn and landscape. Our uniformed technicians are full-time, year-round licensed and certified by the state of Tennessee. Lawn Solutions' personalized service is far more superior to that of national companies that promise but simply cannot deliver. We return phone calls, we keep appointments, and we want your business. What we will not do is bother you with endless phone calls or junk mail. Lawn Solutions will not sell you something your lawn doesn't need. If you're looking for a local lawn care company to kill your weeds and feed your grass, then Lawn Solutions is the finest. Call us at 867-5626. That's 867-5626. Or go online at lawnsolutionsinc.net. From our family to yours, we want to thank you for your business.
Roofs, roofs, and more roofs. Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair simply because they don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance claims for policyholders each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. Call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates, consultation, and claim repairs. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, diagnosing problems, and estimating is second to none, commercial and residential. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. All you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and Mulehide with labor warranties up to 50 years on all of our jobs. Metro Builders provides roof repairs across the Mid-South. Call Metro Builders to schedule your inspection free. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Heavy traffic continues on 240 eastbound from Mill Branch all the way out to 385 Bill Morris Parkway. It's starting a little bit more crowded just in the last few minutes, trying to get down out of Midtown on 240 going southbound, passing South Parkway. All that traffic this time of the afternoon starting to develop over there on 40 East now from, let's say, Sycamore View Road all the way out to Germantown Parkway. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64 is your Valentine's Day headquarters. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn, Boot and Jean Company in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Times. We got about 30 minutes left in today's show. 30 minutes left for us here at the beautiful new location for Sissy's Log Cabin, 4542 Poplar Avenue, right inside the Laurelwood Shopping Center. If you're driving down Poplar, you won't be able to miss it. A beautiful, just stunning building, and everything in here is just as stunning as the building itself. But, Brett, we got to talk about what's trending, and we need to start taking a look. Really been overshadowed these past 2 days with all the news, but we need to take a look at these NFL games, and let's pick these games, not spread, not
just winners,
not anything, just who's going to win the game and advance to the next round.
It's not a bracket per se because
Right.
they reset, and we'll pick with the spread tomorrow at 5:30 with our First National Bank Friday football forecast. And 6 games this weekend. No need me to send you the slate of games.
I know what games
I think you know what the games are.
Oh, yeah.
And no lock and shock. It's over for another year.
That's crazy.
And then next week, just 4. Following week, 2. And then 1.
Then 1. Well, then a week off and then 1.
That's it. So we don't have many
Unless
games.
you want to pick the flag football.
I do not.
Okay. I was just going to throw it out there for you.
No, thank you on flag football. All right, first game on Saturday, just the winner. This is hard enough.
Yeah.
Without the points, just the winner at the Dome in Houston, where the national championship game was just played. Cleveland and the Texans.
Let me go first?
Please.
All right. I'm going to go with the Browns here. I know a road game for them, but this Texans team, a young rookie quarterback, we know how good that defense is for the Browns, and I think that's really what's going to give them the upper hand. They've got the veteran Joe Flacco back there. So I think the Browns win this game, but I think it's going to be a really fun one on Saturday.
Oh, I'm so chalky here. I'm with Cleveland as well. Johnny?
I'm going to have to go against y'all. I'm choosing C.J. Stroud, man. I believe in that young team, and they got a lot of momentum.
Not a bad pick.
C.J. Stroud, who's like 82 years younger than Joe Flacco.
That's crazy.
The 66-year-old Joe Flacco back in the playoffs. Dolphins and Chiefs on Saturday night in Kansas City and frozen Kansas City. Chalk here, Kansas City.
I'm going to go with the Dolphins here. I know it's going to be cold. I know that this is not the element the Dolphins want to play in. I know that they've got some defensive injuries.
Straight up.
That's,
I know what's
that's right. I'm going to take the Dolphins here. I think the Chiefs, this is a different Chiefs team than we've seen in the past. This could really come back and bite me because, it's this team is still the Chiefs, but I like what the Dolphins have offensively. I think they go out there. I think they're upset with their performance last week, and I think they go out there and win on the road.
Johnny?
I got to go with the Chiefs, man.
Why not?
Man, I got to go with Chiefs because I believe in Patrick Mahomes. I don't think Tua can go to the big game.
I don't either. I don't think Tua in this weather, I think he's going to be beat before the kickoff. And Patrick Mahomes has played not only in the Super Bowl runs and the AFC Championship game runs, he's played in a lot of these cold weather games at this time of year. Pittsburgh and Buffalo, Sunday at noon, Buffalo.
I'm going to go with Buffalo here to win the game. My pick might be different tomorrow when we make our picks during Friday Football Forecast. But T.J. Watt going down, that's a massive injury. And Mason Rudolph has done a fine job. It's different in the playoffs. I think the Bills win.
Johnny?
It's a group lock. It's going to get real for the Steelers.
Yeah, I don't see a Steeler upset. But tomorrow with the points could be different. All right, Brian, our Cowboys. Johnny, our right. Cowboys at home at AT&T Stadium Sunday, just straight up, Cowboys and Packers.
Well, I will pass on my pick. I think we all know who I'm going to pick here. The Cowboys roll. They are dominant in a win and really set up what the rest of this playoffs will look like for them. It's just going to be domination from start to finish until they're hoisting Lombardi's trophy.
Okay.
Man,
he's got the trophy hoisted, Johnny.
Man, I heard him. Man, it hurts me so bad to say this, but I got the Cowboys winning, man.
Yeah, sure do. That's right.
How come none of it? I love Green Bay keeping it close. But keeping it close and moving on in the playoffs.
Yeah, Brett, remember, it's a spread. We're just picking who wins. We're trying
to move on into the playoffs. Okay, maybe the first one that's not as obvious. Johnny did go. He did go Houston. Last game on Sunday, and then the Monday game. Last game on Sunday, Rams-Lions in Detroit. and I didn't get to it. It was going to be my big number yesterday, Johnny, and I didn't get to it with all the breaking news. This will be the first time the Lions and the Rams have met in the playoffs since 1952.
Wow.
Man. Oh, my goodness.
That's incredible.
That might as well have been during the Civil War.
Anything. I mean,
I mean, 1953. They played at Briggs Stadium that later became Tiger Stadium.
Wow.
And the last time they met in the playoffs. The Lions hadn't been in the playoffs a lot against anybody. They win Sunday, though.
Yeah, I'm going with the Lions as well in this one at home. I really like this Lions team, and I think every single person in Detroit, no matter if they like football or not, will be in the house for this one. It's going to be a great environment inside Ford Field. So, yeah, I'm gonna go with Detroit in this one.
I'm going with Detroit too, man. I'm looking really forward to this game right here. Both of these quarterbacks are Super Bowl winning quarterbacks. I'm looking forward to it.
It will.
Super Bowl going quarterbacks.
Yeah, they both. One is one. Stafford's won, and Goff has been there. Stafford won with the Rams. Goff lost with the Rams, so they've got that going. Monday night football, the final one of the year. We'll pick it Monday at 5:30 against the point spread when we do our Ruth's Chris Monday night football pick and preview. And Buccaneers at home because they won the division against the wild card Eagles. I take the Eagles.
Johnny?
I take the Eagles too, man. I just believe in Jalen Hurts. I don't believe in Baker Mayfield.
I'm going to go with the Buccaneers here. I think there's something to what's been going on in Philadelphia for the Eagles. This offense just doesn't look right. There's something there. I mean, Brett,
Baker Magic?
I could take
two Oklahoma
little side story here. I went home the other day, and Connor, I think, was about to go. Maybe it was yesterday. He's going up to do a game, maybe the Ole Miss game, and I hear him open the front door. I hear him come in. I hear him rip something open. And I hear a yes, and then he walks in, and he's wearing a Tampa Bay Buccaneers Baker Mayfield jersey.
Old school or new school? Creamsicle or
just new school, just regular jersey. I go, what is that? And he goes, I had to order a Baker jersey. I mean, he's playing so well. So I'm going to go with the Buccaneers here. I think for the Eagles, Brett, I think people are forgetting that this Eagles, and it's easy to forget because of how good this Eagles team has been, but Brett, this is an Eagles team that still had something to play for last week. They still could have won the division, and it seemed like I was watching that Cowboys game on Sunday. It seemed like every single time they went to do an update for the Eagles game, Giants were scoring, and so I think we'll see a lot of that, and I'll take the Buccaneers.
I mentioned two Oklahoma quarterbacks. Do you consider Jalen Hurts Oklahoma or Alabama? Or both? It was both. But which one? I mean, when he does quarterback, Jalen Hurts, what school does he say? I haven't noticed.
I don't know. I consider him more Alabama than I do Oklahoma.
I do too.
Which is weird, I think, because he's
SEC Player of the Year as a freshman.
Yeah, exactly, and just kind of everything
he
you
was
see.
Real good at OU, the runner-up or third?
Yeah,
for the Heisman at OU.
It was one of the two.
Yeah.
But Brett, and then just since he's gotten to the NFL, sorry to Oklahoma, but everyone talks about those three quarterbacks in the same room at Alabama.
Mike
So
Jones,
you're constantly
Tua.
hearing about him at Alabama. So I always kind of picture him as an Alabama guy.
Brian, I've alluded to this with the NIL and with, you got players that are playing at three places in college now. Fine.
Sure.
I'm for the player freedom and liberation, but almost a philosophical question. And in the end, I'll do what my bosses tell me to do. But when I do Rebels in the NFL, let's say in 3 years, and next year at Ohio State, Quinshawn Judkins is 1,500 yards, 16 touchdowns, and helps Ohio State move deep into the playoffs. But then he gets to the NFL, and he's on it. He's on his way to maybe an All-Pro year, a Rookie of the year. Do I mention him?
I don't think so.
Had 2 great years at Ole Miss.
He had 2 really good years.
In the record books that you're never going to delete him from and shouldn't.
It's tough. That's really tough, Brett. I don't know.
I think you are who you are at your last stop.
That's kind of where I'm at.
All right, but here's the comeback to that. Markel Crawford is a Tiger.
That's true. But, I think you could also, for every, Caden Prescorn was great at Memphis. You wouldn't have Caden Priest scoring as a Tiger.
If they did Tigers,
yeah, they wouldn't have Caden Priest scoring as Tiger in the NFL. So I mean, I think it's where you finish. But you're right. I mean, there are a lot of instances.
And do you drop it just as a side? Also, Quinshon Judkins had 2 touchdowns last week.
I don't know.
That's a philosophical question.
It really is. I was gonna say it's where you run out onto the field on senior day, but now you got so many guys entering.
But now Quinshon wasn't gonna do that,
right? Exactly.
He was just gonna play for years.
Yeah, but kind of the same thing of last stop. But I don't.
But Johnny, you've seen they welcome them back to team stuff, kind of like Tart Black. Once a Tiger, always a Tiger.
Yeah.
But he didn't play his last game here.
Right.
Yeah, that is true.
Weird. I don't know. It's weird.
It's something out there.
And for you, it's going to be something you got to figure out. I guess you'll be told what to do. Yeah, they'll tell you what to do.
That's why I work for somebody.
That's right. No, but it's weird. But it's gonna be a really fun weekend in the NFL. Kind of the screaming headlines are the weather that's going to be in Kansas City. But
historic.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch, Brett. I hope everyone's got the peacock.
Again, I'm telling you, you watch those games. Those people don't look like it's bothering them at all. What do they buy and wear that I can't find and buy and wear to 35-degree weather in Fayetteville last year and not freeze to death?
That's a good question. I don't know. Oh, here's the million-dollar question, Brett. Do we have like a defensive end or like a defensive lineman try to run out for like a video to like try to run out and warm up on the field shirtless?
Oh, there's always one.
There's always one, but I mean, we're not talking 30 degree weather. We're talking 0.
We're talking damage being done.
I mean, it's different, but
frostbite is real.
Yeah, but I mean, I think we do see a couple guys try to go out sleeveless or shirtless, saying I'm tough.
Lose a finger from frostbite.
You get the notification, you get the alert before the game that somebody can't play because they went out in this weather without a shirt on. I mean,
and the fans that in Buffalo and in Kansas City,
yeah.
They're going to be tailgating strong. Rob Fisher used to be a Kansas City Chiefs season ticket holder.
Really?
He said the tailgate scene outside of Arrowhead is just, and you hear that it's just great, and Buffalo very famous for it. The really cold NFC Championship game the year Eli Manning upset the Packers.
Mm-hmm.
A friend of mine, an Ole Miss friend of mine, went up to watch Eli play, and he was tailgating with people that had electric blankets plugged into a generator to keep the kegs from freezing.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect.
A, it's cold. B, you're dedicated to drinking. You got to wrap the kegs.
You got to protect the kegs. I mean, it's priorities, Brett. It's I'm glad those people had their priorities in line.
That's serious now.
It's a big game. I mean, you got to have the kegs. No, I mean it's going to be fun to watch on Saturday with just how cold it will be. I know a lot of Miami Dolphin fans have kind of said maybe we don't go to this game. I mean, South Florida weather and what it's going to be in Kansas City on Saturday, it's a big difference.
I've always, sports bucket list, I've always had a Lambeau Field game on my list. And if you're going to do it, you kind of want you don't want to do a preseason game. You don't want to do a September game. You want to go when it's for keeps.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to go with that for keeps, though.
No. You want to go when it's cold.
Sure don't want. I may go and lose a little toe.
Yeah, no. You definitely don't want that. But that's what we're going to see in Kansas City this weekend, and it's going to be fun to watch. Make sure you get that Peacock login. I don't know if they do a free trial on Peacock or anything, but
I don't have it. I'm not going to steal it.
No, I know you're not. But let's go ahead.
I'm going to listen to it, though.
You will, and you can listen to it right here on Sports 56. But let's go ahead and get to our final break of the day. When we come back, we'll wrap up today's show with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Is your home still not warm enough or running out of hot water? Hi, this is Lauren Choate with Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing, and we've got exciting news for you. Introducing Choate's Carrier Repair Buyback Program. If you've had HVAC or water heater repairs in the past year, you're in luck. Choate's will credit your repair costs up to $1,500 with a brand new HVAC or tankless water heater system. Yep, you heard right. Just bring your repair invoice from the last 365 days and get ready to upgrade your home's comfort. Say goodbye to those chilly nights and inconsistent heating. Choate's has you covered with various low-payment financing plans, making your upgrade more affordable than ever. Imagine a more efficient and reliable system keeping your family cozy all winter long. And here's the best part. This offer is a substantial boost towards a state-of-the-art heating solution. Ready to take the next step? Schedule your free estimate by calling 347-8086. And remember, turn to the experts with Choates and let our family serve your family.
Welcome to the Rendezvous.
This is John Vergas. When my dad started the Rendezvous in 1948, I don't think anyone could have imagined we'd still be serving shoulder, cheese plates, and our world-famous dry rub ribs 75 years later. But we are still here in the basement, in an alley in downtown Memphis. We sincerely thank you for making the Rendezvous what it is today. Charlie Vergas Rendezvous. A legendary experience for over 75 years, whether you dine in, pick up, or ship across the country.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn, Boot and Jean Company in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Baby, here I am, I'm a man on the scene. I can give you what you want, but you got to come home with me.
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so...
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin, this baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Well, Brett, what I learned today is that last night we talked about all of the upsets around college basketball, both last night and the night before. But last night, Louisville beat Miami on the road last night, something that I don't think a lot of people saw coming, but it happened. Miami has now lost back-to-back games in ACC play, but they beat Clemson right before that, a 13-point victory against Clemson on January 3rd. And then the loss before last night against Louisville was not a bad loss. Wake Forest is a good team. They went to overtime against Wake Forest, but lost on Saturday. But this loss against Louisville is certainly troubling. We know kind of the situation that Louisville is in right now. It was the first Louisville road win under Kenny Payne. He is now 1-14 in true road games over this last, 1.5 years so far. It's the first victory against a top 100 KenPom team since last February when the Cardinals beat Clemson, which was 68th in KenPom. It's been bad for Louisville, but it got a little bit better last night against Miami.
If you think the college football predictions are way too early, try this one on. Who's the team to beat in college basketball?
I mean, Brett, I would have. A couple days ago, I would have said Purdue. I think yesterday I would have said Kansas. Maybe Houston would be in there.
Purdue?
I trust them more, but I don't necessarily trust them yet.
Not at all. I do not. What I learned today, Reese Davis, I think over the last few days has made the best point. It's been so many good points made about Coach Nick Saban and what he accomplished at Alabama. But Reese Davis made this point. Don't forget, he did what we thought was the impossible when he fixed LSU.
Yeah.
He got LSU righted.
Mm-hmm.
LSU had strutted around for a long time, still talking about Billy Cannon a long time ago, and just hadn't won anything. Not only did he fix it, he got it so fixed, two utter meatheads like Les Miles and Ed Orgeron could win a national championship there.
Yeah.
That may be the most remarkable thing, but that's out. That equity that's been spent.
Yep.
Brian Kelly, if he does it or doesn't do it, it's all on BK.
Brett, what I could have done without this news came out yesterday right after we got off the air. Doug McDaniels, the sophomore guard from Michigan, probably their best player on a bad Michigan team, but he posted on his Instagram story last night, and then it was later confirmed by the school that Doug McDaniel is going to serve a 6-game suspension. Okay, whatever. Now, Brett, here's where the twist comes in. 6 road game suspension. So at home, he'll be able to play. It's on the road where he won't be able to play. It starts, I believe, tonight.
They're not letting him travel at all?
Not letting him travel at all. It does start tonight at Maryland. It sounds like from the school's statement and from what I've heard is that this is academics related, that he's kind of on the verge of eligibility right now because of grades, and that they're hoping by keeping him at home on those road trips that maybe he'll use that time to study, get back with academics. But I almost think if you're going to suspend them, especially for something like academics, suspend them the entire time. Don't let them play at home and then not play on the road. It's just,
if it's that important,
suspend them the entire time. It's just another kind of blunder in this Michigan season. It just feels like, from all accounts, on the court, off the court, it's just been an odd season, an odd kind of stretch for Juwan Howard in this program, and this just added on to it.
I called it the other day. Ward Manuel's going to be hiring a football coach in about a week and a basketball coach in about 3 months.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I could have done without this last night. Nobody's freaked out. Nobody should. But there are a few alarms going off around the Tigers. That 10, 11, 12-man roster stuff, one ball, how to divvy up the minutes, that's been over. That September, October talk every single year. We know, once again, that didn't play out.
Right.
It gets down to about 5 or 6 guys. Also, Carl Scherenfant finally had a ball go through the net last night, and back in September and October, he was described by some as a cross between Julius Erving and Kyrie Irving. We know that's not accurate.
That's right. Where are you beaming tonight?
Beam me to the campus at Tulane. Greenies versus FAU. If Tulane wins, this could be a 1-bid league, or could it mean it's a really good league and it gets up to a 3-bid league? Let's don't make Texas San Antonio out to be a big deal, but they did play well. And everyone's lighting up the Tigers. 94 points allowed in 40 minutes is pathetic. Remember, they only scored 84 against UALR and only scored 53 against West Point. Army.
No, that is a really good point. Beam me, I had a couple of places that I could beam to, but the main place I want to beam tonight, beam me to Milwaukee for Celtics versus Bucks. It's the TNT game tonight. The Celtics coming off an overtime win last night over the Timberwolves, a 127-120 victory. And the Bucks, I don't know, we didn't spend much time talking about it, but I think it was over the weekend, maybe late last week. Giannis had a quote that was going around about how the team needed to do better, and it started from the top all the way to the bottom, and even went to say that the equipment manager, it starts with him, he needs to wash our clothes better.
Come on, Johnny, they can't get on the equipment. They can't get on the clubbies.
No, I mean, good Lord.
That's
funny,
Johnny,
right there. It's bad when they have to get down to blaming everybody.
They got to blame everybody, man.
Got to blame somebody.
We all got to be. You all got to be all in.
That's
man.
right.
I'm looking forward to watching how the whistles and how the foul calls are dispersed tonight with Phoenix at Crypto against the Lakers, especially after the outburst the other night, and everybody far and wide going, okay, 23-2. There might be some there, but I don't think it was thumb on the scales. The NBA can't risk a $1 billion industry over fixed games.
Right. No, they can't.
And when the Toronto coach said they had to win, that's tantamount saying it was fixed.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. No, you can't. So a very limited slate in the NBA. We've already got one game that's going final today. Cavs Nets, a game that started at 1 o'clock. About 57 college basketball games tonight.
Did a green check pop up on your phone for that?
A green check did pop up on that, so it was a good start to the day. A lot of college basketball games, we sure do. Not a ton of substance in terms of college basketball.
UCLA at Utah tonight.
That's going to be one certainly to keep an eye on. But that's all the time we have. All the time we have here at Sissy's Log Cabin. A lot of fun for their official grand opening, 4542 Poplar Avenue inside of Laurelwood. Make sure you stop by and check this place out. That's all the time we have. Enjoy your night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Hi, folks. Bob Burkheimer.